Welcome to Imperial Interlude. Yes, we're back. Things got in our way. Life has its means and ways, and sometimes things need to take a step back. And in this case, the podcast did. So with me again is Ralph. Hello, Ralph.
Hey Tim, hello everybody who's listening, all two listeners, isn't it, Tim?
And
Maybe three.
as always, spoiler warning, we're talking about, but not only, the Bad Batch, the rest of the Series 1 that we haven't talked about yet. We will hold not back at any point. There will be spoilers all around, so if you haven't finished Season 1 of the Bad Batch, please stop the podcast now, watch them, and then come back. Also, another slight warning. I'm having the day off tomorrow. I'm having a beer or two. There might be some slip of the tongue later on. If that
And there may be some bad language as well, folks. But,
yeah, that may be from right from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, second half, season 1 of the Bad Batch. I think if I would to summarize it in one picture, I'd say it went as I would have suspected.
Mm.
There weren't any major, what do you call it, revelations?
No. Well, because I think the stuff with Crosshair, with him having his chip removed, I think everybody, and I was one of them, assumed that he hadn't had his chip removed.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, but not to the extent that I think.
No.
Had he told that 2 episodes earlier, that would have been a major surprise. But
yeah.
I think at that point, I think it was the second to last episode 15.
Yeah,
where he told it, and yeah, it was oh, he didn't. Oh, well.
Yeah, it was an interesting. It was an interesting story choice. I think is probably the best way. Not twist, because it was a story choice, and we can sort of see where Dave Filoni started interweaving bits. Because I think, I could be wrong, but the rumblings or the rumors are that we may see Omega turn up in live action.
Yeah, but what I liked best was that we got a confirmation that there will be a second season of The Bad Batch, which I really like, because I think now that we know Crosshair is actually loyal to the Empire, but seems to still have some, that's called feeling, for the lack of a better term, for his friends, and that Omega, his big sister, which is a weird thing. That I think that was a plot twist that was the most weird to me.
Well, that she was first because she is Omega, and Omega being the first, and also being of the same gen line as Boba.
Yeah, would she have been called Alpha? I think it wouldn't have been such a big reveal.
No, I think Alpha would have been a little bit too much on the nose.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit too much for calling her Alpha. Yeah, I think that's going to give away the story somehow.
Only a bit.
Only a bit, yeah. But yep, no, there was none, because I remember reading, and I think we've all read, and you get the news and stuff popping up, and the occasional clickbaity YouTube video, talking about, oh, we've heard this, or this is where we think it's going to go, is that we only had one real character turn up from Clone Wars, because there was the rumors that going around that we would see Ashley Eckstein, Matt Lanter, who was the voice of Anakin, who was also in an episode of The Mandalorian, the first season episode, not Gunslinger, The Prisoner. The rebel trooper that they shooted, the New Republic trooper that was in the control room that ends up getting killed.
Yeah.
That's Matt Lanter, and that's the voice of Anakin in Clone Wars. And that he'd been recording some stuff, but we don't know what for. He was also, I think, the voice of Vader. I think he voiced Vader underneath at the end of Clone Wars, when Vader had the full helmet on and stuff, when we got to see him.
Yeah, but
I think he voiced him in. Sorry, I think he voiced him in Rebels, but I'm not too sure. But
you're sure that you're counting right? That there's only one connection to Clone Wars?
Well, apart from the clones. What I meant was character, because the rumor was Ahsoka was going to turn up.
Yeah, but there were actually
Gregor.
there's
Yeah.
another character that came up.
Well, it was 3, wasn't it? Sorry, there was 3, wasn't there? There was the clone, the deserter clone.
Mhm.
There was Gregor, the clone commando that they rescued in episode 14. And Rex.
Yeah, and there was Avi Singh, the bounty hunter. That one
Was
turned
she?
up at Clone.
No, yeah, Cad Bane, you mean?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
It was Cad Bane, and then we had Fennec Shan.
And we had Hera and Chopper crossing over from Rebels.
Oh yeah, the young Hera and Chopper, but that's Rebels, isn't it? It's not Clone Wars. I was going.
Yeah, but that I found that very interesting because they actually really pulled in every series they could.
Yeah,
I think
well,
if they've gone one step further, they would have taken some character from Rogue One, getting in there at some point, maybe a juvenile Orson Krennic or something.
I thought we might have seen some Mandalorians. I thought we might have seen something to do with the Fall of Mandalore, which we know is coming. We know that's probably season 3 of the Mandalorian. That's where part of that's going to be dealt with.
Well, that could still be in the season 2, because it's very hard to get all the timelines in line to have to see where every action is actually happening, and we are currently just on the brink of the Empire getting all the strength.
Now, here's one for you. This is just going a complete tangent, which we do. Do you think the way Dave Filoni was setting up this and all of his live action stuff as well, along with Jon Favreau, that they are building the foundations that lead to the idea from the sequel trilogy of the clone emperor and things like that, the whole cloning thing? I think they're trying to interweave or come up with a logical reason for that.
I think what they try to establish is that the Empire has a hidden massive undertaking in the fields of cloning for whatever reason, and may not be disclosed really what they're trying to do. And maybe it's not just cloning the Emperor, but also cloning Sith or Force-sensitive users.
It just seems that that's the, and I hate using this term because I don't think it's right, but it's almost like they're trying to retcon elements from the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy that people disliked, to make it work and to be logical. You know, and how the Empire, how did the say Snoke was created, or how was the Emperor?
I can see that the train of thought may go in that direction, but let's not forget, I think cloned emperors have been a thing.
Oh yeah.
In the books way before the sequels. So
Tim Zahn dealt with them, didn't he? And
and young Jedi Knights had a cloned emperor.
Dark Empire comic, the Dark Empire 1 and Dark Empire 2.
So a cloned Palpatine isn't really something that we can put the sequels on display for, because that idea was floating around long time.
Yeah, it was just seemed that's where. It was just seemed where my brain sort of dropped to, was they are...
Yeah, because it's the most recent and most noticeable event, because they really overdid it a bit.
Yeah, it was just more the fact is that they seem to be trying to make it work, shall we say, make that sequel trilogy work for the story that was told in that sequel trilogy. You know,
could be that
people disliked, but
could be that those things just simply matched. At one point, and Dave Filoni just said, I wanted to write this story anyway, and if I tweak it just a little bit, we also can rail in the sequels, and everybody will be more than happy then to get a more complete round story. And did I understand that right? I may have been the victim of some weird internet joke there, but I remember to see somebody saying, they're trying to do something on Star Wars like they did with the MCU, with a multi-universe, and in this way want to get rid of the prequels.
No, that rumor's been running around since the hate came around for Rise of Skywalker. Because some people disliked it, so there's been a rumbling rumor running around constantly that Disney aren't happy with it. Disney are going to try and just chop it off. That trilogy never exists. That trilogy never existed and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, for the love of, it's the same argument that I just bang my head against wall around the whole dumping of Cara Dune.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, for the love of, you've just dumped a fan favorite character.
One of the most favorite, I'd say, at least for me,
Yeah,
because I really loved that character and the way that it was portrayed,
yeah,
was something completely different from anything else. It was no damsel in distress, no overkill. It's still
yeah.
some way of human form, and
And had a badass ending as well with the four female lead characters
yeah, it's
storming the Imperial thingy. But there was an interesting. It was Echo Base. There's a YouTube channel called Echo Base News, I think it is. Yeah, yeah, Echo Base Network, and it's a Star Wars news channel. And I don't know where they sit on shall we say the liking, where they sit, whether they're there the same as the Quarterling or
mhm.
or that other one that's really bad in rumorville, yeah. But supposedly Gina Carano put up a picture of, and it was almost like a Spider-Man. It was a Spider-Man image with some text, and the rumor is that Disney have went back and asked her to return, and she just went no.
Well, if she had been asked and she says no, I can't trust you because you could revoke
Yeah.
that at every point, I can totally see that. But I'm
But
guessing Disney didn't ask her.
I'm wondering if they haven't gone back yet, but it is something that might be on the cards going forward.
I
You
think
know?
they would wait another year for
Yeah,
that to blow
yeah,
over.
yeah. Definitely, there'll be something going on, and I'm sure we know Disney have gone back and asked people to return when they fired them, James Gunn. So we'll see what happens. But going back to the Bad Batch and just the whole thing of that, but that's another one of the many Star Wars rumors that seem to be sitting on the internet at the moment. We do know, which I just mentioned prior to sort of us recording, was that we know Disney are doing another one of those media blast things in November again, like they did last year, where they announced all of the range of the MCU shows and all of that. They're doing that again. They're doing they're doing, basically, it's going to be Hulu and FX, Star Wars, Disney films, Pixar, and basically the MCU or Marvel, and they're going to be talking about that. But we know we know what's coming this year on Disney Plus. We know what's due. Star Wars Visions, I think, is still due this year,
Hmm.
which is the anime studios like Studio Ghibli and all of that are tackling Star Wars stories.
Yeah, that's still one where I'm very torn about. I don't.
I'm interested to see the animation style.
Yeah, I'm interested too, but
Really, that.
I think we talked about this somewhere in the past before. There is this fan-made TIE Fighter
Yes.
animation that's very anime-like, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel right with me. I can appreciate the way they did it, but it
Oh
just
yeah.
doesn't fit.
It's more the one I'm interested in is people like Studio Ghibli, who did My Neighbor Totoro and
Yeah,
that and Howl's Moving Castle, their style, which is quite nice, and Princess Mononoke as well. And then you've got other ones as well, and I know a couple of the story titles have been dropped, and one of them is basically the Jedi, by the sounds of it, and it is just their version of what their interpretation of a Jedi,
I
which means we will possibly get an anime Jedi that's like a samurai,
I,
which
I could see Studio Ghibli do something way in the early days of the Galactic
yeah.
Republic, or maybe even before, where Jedi and Sith haven't been a major faction in space or something that would fit the narrative and where I wouldn't mind the art style. but I'm a bit afraid that the most anime studios will somehow stick to the quote unquote current timeline of Star Wars being somewhere centered around A New Hope, and it will just look weird. But I'll
I don't know.
have a look
It's
at it, and I
it's
will
sorry.
try to
Yeah,
take an open mind.
yeah. It's 9 episodes. It's due, according to this, the air date is September the 22nd this year. I've just wrote it up on Wikipedia. It's not Studio Ghibli. It's Geno Studios, Studio Coronado, Trigger, Product IG, Science Saru, and we've got titles as well. One of the titles is called The Jewel. Lapin Orko or Oko. I'm killing pronunciation. Yeah, I apologize. Tatooine Rhapsody. The Twins, The Elder, The Village Bride. It's Arakira, I think it is. T0B1, which I'm assuming is a droid episode, and something called, and then the last episode's called The Ninth Jedi. So it'll be an interesting one, I think. You know, it will be interesting to see what they're doing. The Duel, the first episode called The Duel is what they are basing the novel round as well, because there's a novel coming called Ronin for Star Wars Visions. So, you know, that's September the 22nd. And then, of course, December we get Fett, which has been really interesting because I've been getting the War of the Bounty Hunters novel, comic book. There's a comic book come out called War of the Bounty Hunters, and it's a Fett novel. Supposedly it's going to tie in with the Book of Boba Fett. It's set part of it is set between Empire and Jedi. The first issue, Boba Fett loses Han Solo, or has to go and get Han Solo's carbonite fixed, and he gets stolen and by Cora, who we know was Emilia Clarke in Solo. She steals the carbonite container with him in. There's another character turns up in episode 2, which is Admiral Holdo. Is it Holdo or Holdo? What's her face that shot the Star Destroyer at the shot the cruiser at the Super Star Destroyer and blew it up?
I can't remember.
From
I
Last
know
Jedi.
the what the female lead.
Yeah, the female who's turned up in Princess Leia novels as well. Holdo, I think it is. Laura Dern's character, anyway, from Last Jedi. She turns up in a hologram. There's like a hologram message and stuff like that in it. So it's really interesting because supposedly this is laying some of the foundation for Book of Boba, and in
It
the Book of
feels
Boba
a
we're
bit
getting.
convoluted.
Yeah, it is a bit. Well, some of it is. You know, it's a comic book. You know, but in the Book of Boba, supposedly we are going to get to see, or the rumor is, and it is a big rumor, and I'm going to take this with a huge pinch of salt, that we may get to see people like Dengar, IG-88, Bosk, Zuckus, Fall. You know, the bounty hunters.
Yeah, Follow.
Forlom. You know, we may get to see some of them turn up.
Which would be a childhood dream come true, because
Yes, it would be.
everybody that's standing on that Star Destroyer bridge next to Darth Vader and Boba Fett is just going, oh, I want this so badly.
Well, supposedly Funko are doing a bunch of new Funkos for them. They've done a new Boba.
I really hope that Star Wars isn't going too much ham on this entangled stuff you need to collect everything to be in the know completely.
No, well,
Like
I need to step away from that if we do, because
like the what is the current series called? High Republic.
yeah,
And that's I understand why they do it, but I can't be asked to get everything. For me personally, Star Wars is books and visual. I don't need any more than that.
Yeah,
mainly.
I mean the comic. I used to collect the comics I did collect, and I used to collect the comics through Dark Horse, so I did get like Dark Empire 1, Dark Empire 2. I've got sitting on my shelf, which are really, really nice. Actually, they were collected into 4 mini graphic novels, and it's Star Wars manga. So it's actually New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi adaptions as manga.
Mm.
Really nice books. The stories as we know it. But the thing I never looked at, and I know there was a collection of comics came out, which was basically What If for Star Wars. So it was one of the storylines was what if Vader turned good, and it's where you get to see Vader in white armor in the comic, and it's Leia who fights Luke at the end. On the Star Destroyer.
Because he got turned, or because she got
Yeah,
turned?
because Luke got turned. So it's Luke fighting his sister, if I remember correctly. So it was the What If universe type of thing. It's as we know, that's what's dropped this week for Disney. The What If. One thing in the timeline veers off, and you've got 2 different timelines. Timelines run the sacred timeline. I never collected
All
them.
that timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
Yes, all that time we went, which is supposedly what they're going to be doing with Ahsoka TV series. Because we know Ahsoka was pulled out of time by Ezra in Rebels. Wasn't she?
Yes.
She was saved by Ezra when she was fighting Vader at the Sith temple at the end of season 2 of Rebels.
But didn't she get back to her own timeline at the end of the show?
Ezra put her back into time, but I don't know where in the time. I think it was the same timeline, just a different location.
Yeah, that's so basically she would be still in her timeline.
Yeah, but the whole supposedly the premise behind Ahsoka is going to be to do with the world between worlds. We don't know.
Well,
they've cast Ezra supposedly, and they've cast Thrawn, and I'm really glad they've cast the person who they've cast Thrawn. If it's true, it's the voice. It's Lars Mikkelsen who voiced Thrawn in Rebels. So they've done what they've done with Bo-Katan for Thrawn.
I think it's safe to say at this point, Disney has such a big bucket of ideas and possibilities to get ideas from.
Yeah.
It should be very hard for them to fuck this up, but
it's Disney.
Yes. And let's face it, even if it's not Disney, at some point, expectations are going to be ramped up that high that they can't succeed no matter what they do. Just remember things like when ages passed and people wanted the latest Duke Nukem game, and everybody was thrilled through the roof when Duke Nukem was announced, and when everybody was let down.
Out, yes.
And I was just there. Yeah, you wanted Duke Nukem. This is Duke Nukem. He is a two-dimensional character doing bad puns, and it's just going shooty. Technically, you've got what you asked for. Why are you all mad?
Yes. The Duke Nukem fiasco ranks up there. It doesn't rank up there. The worst one's Colonial Marine, but that's a completely separate kettle of video game fish.
At least at Colonial Marines, you could tell it was technically broken. It was a bad game. Duke Nukem was technically not broken. It was just a very shallow game, but every Duke Nukem part before that was a very shallow
game as well, yes.
It's not like that it had a very in-depth writing or a very complex story. It was aliens, shoot them, bubblegum, shoot them, babes.
Yes, exactly. Not the heartiest brow of video game games, you know. So.
At this point, if you're doing something completely new for Star Wars, Disney needs to either stick to what always worked, and then we will have people complaining about that they're not innovating, or they will do something completely different, and then everybody else will go, oh god, no, they killed Star Wars.
which we get anyway.
Yeah,
With
so it's
the
it's
fandom.
just the direction from where the screaming and moaning comes that will be
Yeah,
different.
yeah. So, what did you think of that sort of the whole the last? I mean, we had Rex turn up, which was good. So I'm thinking from episodes 16, 15, 14, probably the last three. I think you could probably take as one element, couldn't you? Because 14 was them Rex sending them to go and rescue the clone commando,
Hmm.
which is really interesting that we actually got to see more than one clone commando in the bloody armor. You know, they're supposed to be the elite of the elite as well. You know, they're the ones that were in Republic Commando, the video game. You know, it's that armor type. You know, it was really nice to see more than one of them, and that they're the ones that are training the stormtroopers, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
the TKs, as they are
Yes.
calling them. I'm
Yeah.
still trying to get my head around what TK stands for. Did I miss that part?
Trooper something or other, I think. Well, we know the commandos were either CC or RC. CT is clone trooper. And that's which is interesting that they give.
Conscript is written with a C, isn't it?
Yes.
Then I would have guessed it would be TC, so Trooper
Yeah.
Conscript, but TK?
What's interesting is all of the clone troopers, apart from I think Cody's CC, isn't he? Let's have a look. Clone trooper Des. Wikipedia, come here. Designation. Because Cody, I think, was CC. Rex was CT. Yeah. Let's have a look. Clone designation off Wikipedia. CC or CRC, which is interesting. But that's not canon. Let's have a look.
So from the very first page of Wikipedia, there's CT9904, that's Crosshair.
Yeah.
So Clone Trooper actually makes sense.
Yes. But
And then
Cody,
there's RC1262, that being Scorch, a clone commando.
yeah. Now Cody, Commander Cody, is CC, clone commander, because Cody is actually higher ranking than Rex. Which is an interesting one. And then we move into let's have a look at what Imperials, because further down there is something to do with the imps. The facility contained thousands of non-clone or TK troopers who were trained by elite clone commandos. TK troopers were recruited from across the galaxy. Let's have a look. It doesn't say what TK stands for. Which is...
Yeah, I'm trying to find that as well. I'm finding a lot of very long-winded text, but none has the answer.
Just an operating number, it says here. On
The Fiver First uses two letters to denote tribes of stormtroopers: TK, Standard Trooper; TD, Sand Trooper; TB, Biker Scout; TI, TIE Pilot; TS, Snow Trooper; TC, Clone Trooper. So
it's nothing specific like the Clone Trooper is.
I would have guessed that they would have really known, since that was a description taken from the original movie.
Yeah, it's where it's from. But it's interesting that the Bad Batch don't fall or just classed as CTs and not clone commandos. If you think about it, yeah. Because you know they are supposed to be basically the clones with preferred mutations, but they've been genetically modified with those mutations, which is interesting.
I think it's safe to say that we can't really know what TK stands for, if
No.
it stands for anything at all, and it's not just taken as is from the
Yeah.
original movie, which is possibly the most likely.
Yeah. But they've built up on that over time with using like CC and CT and things that have been brought in later with different
Yeah,
things.
just if you would really wanted to analyze it, I think if you have a army made of clones, you really
Hmm.
need to inventorize them, so they need a serial number of sorts, and
Yeah.
then later giving conscript troops a designation instead of name is something I think of an afterthought.
Hmm. Yeah, because well, they take their own names, don't they? In
Yeah,
some specs and stuff. I
though
mean, yeah,
though
yeah.
they all
I
they
have an army of true clones on a painting table.
though the troopers in Star Wars are always called by their TK number, so
Hmm. Yeah.
maybe that's
This,
some way of depersonalizing persons and getting them
yeah.
more reliable.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Because the clones took names to individualize themselves,
Yeah, some of them did.
where the stormtroopers are supposed to be conscripts taken from humans across the galaxy. So they're all individuals of sorts anyway, aren't they? They've all got, and just put through like military training and put in that white armor.
Oh, and
Um,
just to get back on the
mhm.
clones that actually tried to that somehow felt like uneasy with the new direction the Republic or the Empire is going in.
Yeah.
There was
Yes.
the double feature from Devil, Steel, and Rescue on
From
Ryloth,
yeah.
where that captain actually did choose not to work for the Empire anymore. So I'm guessing there's sort of a setup for multiple insurrections along the lines of clone troopers that are refusing their inhibitor chips, and maybe there's a reason why in certain individuals inhibitor chips don't work. Maybe they
Or
wear out after time. I don't know.
well, wasn't the inhibitor chip though? And this is the thing. Isn't the inhibitor chip more to execute Order 66, which is not necessarily blindly. Well, it
No,
is
it
blindly obey
was to
orders,
ensure and enforce that the soldiers follow orders.
and the order was to
And
wipe out the Jedi.
yeah, but the Crosshair and later Wrecker also very much did anything else.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Order 66 was the main reason for that, but it's
Hmm.
also the general way of keeping control over your robotic clones.
True. Yeah, this probably is that that they were probably perceived as robots, whether
Machines.
they were machines. They weren't perceived as human at all. They were perceived as machines
Yeah,
to do the
and
bit
let's
to do the
face it,
meat grinder.
that's also true for most of every other sentient being out there in the galaxy. Because yeah, it's clone troopers. It's in the name. They are clones. They're
Yeah.
not born. They're not raised. They're bred and
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Which denotes then is when we got that last scene of oh, Lamassu. It is Lamassu,
Mhm.
isn't it? Heading to that Imperial facility where they're going. The Empire have got big plans for you. It's like, does that mean we are then moving into or heading towards them doing something where we covered this, the whole cloning of recloning of troopers, but making them more obedient. We
Yeah,
have no idea.
and I think what I liked most about this last shot of the last episode was the fact that the base is of no design we had seen
No.
in the Empire before. It's from the distance it looks like green hills, and only when you get close up you can see that there's actually some fortifications in there.
Yeah.
And I
and
really love that design.
and it's been cut into the mountain, so it looks like the mountain's been hollowed out
Yeah,
almost.
that's
You
very
know,
much likely.
really nice design, really interesting design as well.
I'm
And
going to say that in the next season, the captured clone professional will get any way she can a message out to
yeah,
her. What's she called again? That
Omega.
bounty. No, that bounty hunter.
Oh, you mean Fennec Shan?
Yeah, and Panic Shan then in turn will find the Bad Batch, and of course Omega will then say, "Yeah, of course we need to free her. She's our mother."
But then does that lead it into, and I suppose it depends what happens in December, is if we see Omega turn up in Book of Boba, I think we may get a hint of Omega. We may see her. I don't know if it'll be this season of Book of Boba or whether Book of Boba will go to a second season. They haven't said. There's been no news yet, really, other than it was supposed to be a limited series like Loki, but Loki got a second season, so we're.
I don't think we will see Omega in Book of Boba because simply so much time has passed between those things. I don't even think they're going to mention the Bad Batch in any way, shape, or form.
Well, we never know.
Yeah, in my mind, Book of Boba will be a complete spin-off and just be maybe a collection of tales of what the bounty hunters have been up to.
Yeah, I mean, the rumbling about Book of Boba is it's partly set in this current sort of timeline, with the Filoni-verse, shall we call it, the same timeline as the Mando, because supposedly Din Djarin's going to make an appearance. But also then there's going to be information about what happened to Boba post-Empire, post-Jedi, sorry.
What I would like to see is where did Boba end up after his dad got killed? I mean, he was a boy when his father died, and he somehow got his armor and the ship and left. And it's hard to believe that a boy would be on his own and survive.
Yeah, a lot of that was covered in Clone Wars because he joined Aurra Singh. He went after Mace Windu. There is an episode that was animatic but never shot. Was storyboarded out, and it was animatic, ready to be shot fully. It's like working animation for season 6. Whether we're planning on doing a season 6 and we're going to go to 22 episodes, yeah, and then season 6 was shrunk down to that small chunk that we got on Netflix.
You're talking about Clone Wars.
Clone Wars, yeah. So after season 5, there was plans to do a season 6 properly, but then of course it got finished after season 5, and then Netflix picked it up for, I think it was 13 episodes, I think it is, or 16 episodes. But there was an episode there which was basically a showdown between Cad Bane and Boba, and that's supposedly how Boba got the dent in his helmet. Was they both drew and shot at the same time? Bane didn't get up, but Boba did, and that's what the dent was. So, but I'm wondering then, maybe one of the bounty hunters we get to see in Book of Boba is a live-action Cad Bane.
Would be interesting.
That would be a really interesting one to bring in.
Though to be fair, most of the bounty hunters would be a real interesting thing in real life, because if you go back to Empire Strikes Back and see most of them standing there were just standing because they could barely move.
Yeah, none of them could move, I think. We know IG-11 was...
Boba Fett could move, and I think Forloom would be able to move because he was more or less a C-3PO character with a different head.
I think Bosk could as well, and Dengar.
Yeah, but Bosk would have looked very weird because of the long limbs.
But, yeah, and Dengar could have moved because that was just a human in
but
in a thing.
IG-88.
Oh, IG-88 was it's been said he was bolted to the deck because he couldn't move.
Yeah, he couldn't even stand on its own. So
he has one for you. Book of Boba. We get IG-88 back, right? Voiced by Taika Waititi again.
Bolted somewhere on a plank or something.
Well, there was footage filmed, you know. There's a deleted scene from Empire. I've got I've got it. I've got images of it anyway from the Star Wars Chronicles, not the prequel version, but the other the other really high quality book, the first one they did, that they sold on weight. It was something like 6 kilos in weight, this book. It's heavy, but it's high quality images, all about the first 3 films, so Star Wars Empire and Return. And it's got some, what you call it, in like stills and talking about deleted scenes. And there was a scene filmed between a fight on Slave One between IG-88 and Boba.
How would they have managed to do that?
Don't know, but it was they were filming it. It was there. There's a scene supposedly of the two of them fighting on Slave One as IG-88 goes after Solo. See if it's the Jedi deleted scenes. Let's see what's on there. Because there's another deleted scene we know from Return of the Jedi, which is Luke making his lightsaber.
Yeah, I remember that being part of one of the DVDs.
And Return of the Jedi deleted scene. That was just them going back to the ship after the rescue Solo. They go back to the ship to what you call it, under a huge great big storm cloud.
Mm-hmm.
The one I've just found as well is Clone Wars Season 7 Canned Bane versus Boba Fett unproduced episode clip. So it was filmed and stuff like that, and then it just wasn't completed in an episode. Because there's another one as well, which got a lot of people talking at the time. And what it was, or what it is there is a mention of Darth Raven in an episode of Clone Wars. Which people were like, what? There's a scene and you get to see the sort of Raven's costume, the helmet and all, and the robes and stuff. Supposedly there was all sort of like an animatic almost done of Raven. And I think also what's his face got a mention, either Nihilus or Darth Bane, not Bane. Or it might have been Bane from Rule of Two. From the novel Rule of Two. But there's been mention of other canon sort of characters, Legends characters possibly turning up.
I just need to apologize at this point to our listeners. I just had a program crash on me and making weird noises that you didn't hear, but sorry for that. Won't be happening again, I hope.
So there's a lot of interesting bits, I think, popping up at the moment to do with where they can take the Bad Batch, especially from that ending, and those leaving Crosshair as well sort of opens up. But it was interesting how they handled the Camino, shall we say?
Yeah, it's as I said, Disney has so much possible routes they could take for any upcoming series, be it Bad Batch, another implication of Mandalorian, or anything else. It's very hard to predict anything with a level of certainty that I would want to put money on.
No, there's definitely. What did you think of that though? How they dealt with Camino? With
on one hand,
destruction of Camino.
On the one hand, it's a very lazy ass way to do something, but on the other hand, it's a very the Empire would have done it this way. They would have taken what they wanted, and the rest would have been burned to the ground just to make sure that nobody else gets hold of that technology. What I found a bit hard to believe is that the Empire wouldn't know about any other structures that were around Camino. That was like just something where I said, yeah, I get why they won't actually know about a secret landing pad, but I'd be hard pressed to be convinced of the fact that they wouldn't have tried to map out every tunnel that's under the sea going anywhere.
True. True. It was another one of those. We'll try not to fall over the plot point, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, and let's face it, the Empire as that evil entity that we know from the original trilogy is just about to get really erected. So maybe they didn't want to cause any suspicion, and that's why they were behaving like good soldiers do while there were guests on Camino. And at that point where they know, yeah, we don't need you anymore, at
Yeah.
that point the mask comes off.
Yeah, the mask comes off, and then we just vaporize the entire thing, evacuating everybody. Or
Yeah, I think one of the most true Empire style events was when they just killed off the Prime Minister behind closed doors and took her away.
Yeah, took Lamassu away and killed the Prime Minister.
Yeah, we have need for what was the phrasing? We have need for good genetic engineers. Yes. We don't have need for prime ministers. which is a sentiment where I actually can get behind. I have no need for politics.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has a need for politics at the moment.
Yeah.
But I thought it was, because we've never heard anything from Camino, after the prequel, shall we say, and it did play heavily in Clone Wars, but it didn't turn up in Rebels and stuff like that. It was like how I was interested when the episode title was Return to Camino, and and stuff. I was like, oh, is this how we're going to see what happens to the to it? And we sort of saw what happened to it is the whole basically sacking of Camino after things we moved off. But it was an interesting story choice, I think, because I think it would be really difficult to leave it there and not have, especially because we know who technically the producer and showrunner of this is, of it not to pop up,
Well, what just pops to my mind? Well, there was this Caminoan cloning facility on a different planet. So
we've had cloning facilities on the planet, haven't we?
I'm guessing there will be more of those scattered around the universe.
Yeah.
So possibly that leaves an opening for any Caminoan to get back on track and to be back part of a story of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I mean, there was the one where Cad Bane took what's his face, didn't when he captured Omega, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe that that's one facility, but yeah, maybe, but we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if that still exists. After the Empire seems to be going around scooping things up left, right, and center. Are they then looking? Are they actively looking for the whole what you call it thingies? I'll get the words out. Actively looking for cloning facilities or not? Maybe they are.
Yeah,
it's another element of the story that we just don't know.
I'm guessing cloning facilities would be a much more suitable way of getting rid of that inhibitor chip than scouring around planets with broken down old Jedi cruisers.
Yes, very true. Old Jedi, yes. Yeah, but then you don't get the cool thing of actually crawling inside of a destroyed Star Destroyer and then trying to be blasted out the other side via its engines, do you?
Yes. True, that's very true.
But on the whole, what did you think of the first season of The Bad Batch?
This is going to sound so entitled. I think it's a nice series. I think kids will probably enjoy it a wee bit more than most adults will. Overall, it's not bad. It's nothing I think I would watch more than once or twice in a short audience notice because it hasn't got that good of a writing, but it's a nice, it's called background TV series. It's very well made. The writing is good. The characters stay consistent and are believable. I think it's a good solid foundation for potentially getting around more stuff.
Yeah, it was a good start. You know, if we look back at season 1 of Clone Wars,
You nearly made me spill my beer here.
You know, season 1 of Clone Wars, season 1 of Rebels, even the first season of what you call it, the what you call it, the Resistance. You know,
I haven't even watched one episode on that.
Resistance is all right, actually. It
Yeah,
is
but
okay.
that's again, this is what we had talked about earlier. It's the animation style. It just looks cheap and fast paced, and
it's very much an almost like an anime CGI style, you know, to get it done.
And I think what turned me off the most is every other series made in the Star Wars universe, even those with having a child character in the center, like Ezra Bridges or Omega. There's a lot of adult cast going around, so that it's more or less, yeah, you're important, but the grown-ups actually need to be around to do something. And from what I've seen from Resistance was more or less, yeah, a group of children doing stuff, and no, that's not believable. Sorry, it doesn't work that way.
A little bit. It as a setting up the prequel trilogy, yeah, it was all right. That's what it was. But you know, it was a good Bad Batch season 1 was a good starting point. You know, I think, you know, it opened strong. I think that the 2-part opening, you know, the long episodes was a very strong opening, especially where we got to see Order 66 and we got to see, you know, what happened to
how they reacted differently to everything and the sudden changes in their lives.
We got to meet a young what's his face from Rebels.
Yes, Cat Bane. No.
The Jedi. What's his name? Caleb Dune. Caleb.
Oh God, they should stop making names sound so obviously similar.
Yeah, because it's what's his face? It's Kanan.
Kanan
Jarrus, but the character's name isn't Kanan. It's something else because he changed his name. You know, we've got to meet a young version of him, like we've got to meet the young version of Hera later on. So, you know, and just the whole way that
a younger version of Chopper being still the weird.
Well, what was interesting about that pilot, which is something I've just tweaked upon, is we actually get to see why Kanan reacted the way he did when he met Rex, Gregor, and Wolf in the Rebels episodes. Where he went, they're clones, and pulled his lightsaber, didn't he?
He was a bit on the edge.
Yeah, where you know, we assumed that's probably what it was. You know, that he was, you know, he was there during the Order 66, but we actually got to see him, you know, him running away and all of that.
Yeah, but to be fair, since that episode has been made way before the Bad Batch, it probably was just based on, he's a surviving Jedi. Of course he would be scared shitless of clone troopers coming after him. But it really lent itself well to that story arc.
Yeah, it was the loop back, wasn't it? It was sort of closing that. This is why he reacted to Rex and them, because he survived the Order. Let's show how he survived the Order. So it was just closing off that loop, isn't it? And things. But no, it was a good foundation for a first season, and I'm surprised
they could have done much worse.
Oh, definitely could have done worse. First season of Rebels. First season of Clone Wars, sorry. But it was also interesting at the number of episodes, because I didn't think we'd get as many episodes as we did. I thought it might have been 12, the same way as the last season of Clone Wars was. So to get 16 out of it was interesting. And does that mean now Disney are just going to churn out 16 episodes for season 2, or are they going to give them more? You know, I wonder if they might get a couple of episodes more. We might go up to 20.
I'm going to say Disney is going to do what Disney does. They will not stick to any plan.
No, the mouse will do its own thing.
I think, and let's be honest, I'm really not counting episodes. I'm happy when the episodes come out in a consistent way, are well written and
Yeah,
executed, and whatever count of episode number that will be at the end, I'm fine with it.
yeah, definitely. I think at the end, we both sort of agree with that storytelling is more important than episode length.
Yeah, I think we've been on this more than once
You
on The
have.
Mandalorian with the different lengths of the
Uh-huh.
episodes. So
Yeah,
if they can't uh, use a episode format on animation that is of different lengths because they actually are thinking of a TV release of sorts and with fixed minutes they have to show something of, then having the wiggle room of adding 2 episodes or doing 2 episodes less. I think that's also working and fine by me.
definitely. I think as we we've hopped on about this, and till we're blue in the face with Mandalorian, with Bad Batch. It's all about story. If the story's good enough, it doesn't really matter how long the episode length is and how many episodes you have, as long as you're telling a good story within that constraint that you've decided to put on yourself, because it
Yeah,
is really down to them.
it's
You know,
it's like just to take a complete different example, take Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. You
yeah,
have two different books. They are. I think The Hobbit is about a fifth of what Lord of the Rings is,
mhm,
and they're both good books. They
mhm,
both have an interesting story arc. If you like it or not, is a completely different subject.
yeah,
But it doesn't make one book less valuable in the context of being a good story just because it's smaller. That's
very true, very
and
true.
the same thing applies to movies. Movies have a average running time of about 90 minutes, but not every
Yeah.
movie does, and not every movie should.
No, that's true. Endgame.
Oh, I couldn't talk about
Lord of the
that.
Rings. Lord of the Rings extended edition.
Oh, a Lord of the Rings extended edition I really like.
4 hours, yes. The new version of Dune when it comes out.
Oh, that's a complete different beast. That's going to.
I think that might be 2 movies by the sounds of it, because supposedly he's got a 5-hour cut.
Yeah, and the thing is, once I went down the rabbit hole of Dune, going totally off rails here now, but
Yeah,
who gives a crap?
it's science fiction.
Um, when I first heard or first learned about Dune, I was think about 10 or so, and I've got this sticker album from the movie, and that was Dune for me. And only years later, I learned that there's an actual book about it,
Yes.
and then I've learned that there was, I think, at least 2 uh, movies planned from different directors, and one
Yes.
was incorporating one of my favorite comic artists being Mobius.
Mm,
Jean Giraud, which is
yes.
a great way. And I think who was to be directing that thing?
The original Dune movie was not David Lynch.
No,
It was
no,
somebody else.
it was.
Because there's a making of about it.
Oh, I need to
Um,
bite myself in the ass because I know it was another artisty painting guy. Oh
I'm
God,
just
I
gonna check.
hate it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because there is a documentary about the of June, and the whole thing to do with the franchise on who was going to originally do it. Um, and then it got turned into a different one. Hang on.
Jodorowsky,
Yes,
that's
that's it.
another comic writer, and then there
Yes.
was another implementation of that movie that was by.
Right. Which one you got here? Because there's Boris Yodorowsky, and then there was Dino De Laurentiis did it with David Lynch, which is the June we got. But
Yeah.
then David Lynch took June, and I have it here on DVD because I got it from the States. Did what in America was called the TV version, and they basically put back in a load of footage that
No,
was
there was
cut.
a third one, which wasn't Jodorowsky and Mobius, but
Geiger was involved with that one.
yeah, genau, Geiger and
Orson Welles was supposed to be the Baron Harkonnen.
yeah,
Pink Floyd was going to do the music. That's an interesting thing then. Just reading that, if Pink Floyd was going to do the music, and this is completely off topic. Sorry, folks, we don't care. The version of Dune that we're getting now, the 2021 version, which really does look gorgeous. The first trailer dropped.
Yeah,
The
I
very
think I've
first
seen
trailer. Not the one that's recently, but the very first one. And the music they're playing is Pink Floyd.
that. I hadn't realized that.
Yeah, it's an adaptation of a Pink Floyd song, and Pink Floyd was supposed to do the music of the original 1973 version of Dune. But no, there was that version. Then David Lynch did it, and now we've got the Denis Villeneuve version. But then in the early 2000s, you had Dune and you had Children of Dune, which were miniseries
Yeah,
done by Sci-Fi Channel.
which I really didn't like too much.
I just watched Children of Dune again because Leto, the son, is Professor Xavier. It's what's his face? The one with Michael Fassbender. Name of actor, can't remember. Scottish actor. That's him. James McAvoy is actually Leto Atreides. Sorry, it's Paul. No, it's not Paul. He's the son, so it's Leto. Yes. It's names.
I'm just trying to get my head around who Salvatore Dali.
Yes,
That's
Dali was
the
involved,
one.
wasn't he? Yeah.
God, my name brain is a horrible mess. Yeah, Salvatore Dali had Mick Jagger in it.
Well, look, David Lynch had Sting playing Fade Alpha, so you know.
Yes, I see a pattern. Yeah, that's.
Let's get from one massive science fiction franchise back to another.
Yeah, the worst thing is when they released the trailer for the current Dune movie, I went out and wanted to get myself the book to have a read.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which book I should get.
You get first. You just get Dune.
Oh, there is so many different
there are
translations
so
and
many.
versions, and I just want the original book. That predates everything.
All you need is the original Dune novel, by Frank Herbert.
Yeah, but all I can find are books to movies, and I don't want those.
Let's have a look for you, Tim. While I've got you here, let me have a look.
Maybe that's just a problem because I also want them translated. I don't have time to read them in English, to be fair.
Yeah, you want a German translation of Dune, don't you?
And that's where the fun begins. There seem to be so many books, translations, and I couldn't even find out which what's it called? Which company is currently holding the rights for German translation?
Is that it? Have I found a Kindle version?
Oh, that's no news to me.
I might have found a paperback on Amazon. Which I'm wondering if it is. I'll send you the title of this one to see if this is the right title. If it is, then it might be the one that you might have to hunt down. Is that the right title? Does that translate to just Dune?
Yeah. Yeah, but it says on the sticker book to the movie from Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, what it means is that it won't be an adaptation of Denis' film as a novel, because if you look, it's written by Frank Herbert, who wrote the original. So I think that is the original Dune just translated. Okay.
That could be actually it. I need to ask my local bookseller about that.
Ask your local bookseller about it, but I think that one there.
It looks to be the thing.
Basically it's just Dune with a new cover put on. They do that with a lot of books to film. Film.
Oh, and speaking about books and movies, and totally going off rails now. I've read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Mm-hmm.
Holy mother of fucks.
Have you never read
No,
the Do
well,
Androids Dream at all?
no, I never. I
Ah.
like the movie, and I thought to myself, if I read the book, it could go horribly wrong, or I could be completely annoyed about the movie afterwards. So I never really cared about the book, and to be honest, I wasn't aware that it would be such a different story.
Oh yeah, it's a completely different
Holy
story.
fuck!
It's a totally different story than what we got from the adaptation.
If you anybody out there didn't read the book and only knows the movie, if you think that Blade Runner is a bleak and dark look on our future, take a candle with you if you read the book. It's even more bleak and dark, and it's
Yes.
really dystopian
Yeah.
isn't a word that even starts to describe that world.
No, it doesn't. Ridley Scott sort of brightened it up a little bit.
He actually took a huge can of pink paint and slapped it all over.
He did, yes. What's interesting though is, we're talking about, say, Blade Runner June. There is a link there because Denis Villeneuve, who's directing the new one, did the last Blade Runner movie.
Mhm.
It was and he took a lot of what Ridley Scott had set up in the vision of the world, with the that,
Mhm.
and adapted it straight across into his as well. So he tried to keep the aesthetic. So when you watch Blade Runner, whichever version of Blade Runner you decide to watch, the final cut, the theatrical release,
Director's cut.
the director's cut, the version without the voiceovers, the version with the voiceovers, the version without the voiceovers, and the unicorn scene. As you can see, I've watched quite a few of them. It's he's tried to keep the aesthetic the same. The interesting thing, I need to check, because I was watching our favorite people this morning, and they were talking about the Aliens adaptation on. So we're bringing it back around to Star Wars, sort of,
Mhm.
by talking about Aliens, because Aliens is on Disney Plus. Said that the scene with the smart guns scene isn't in it. The smart gun scene is in the original cut of the film. It was in the original video and DVD release of the film. It wasn't added footage for the special edition.
And that's a point where and we're talking about the XLVS, of course, over at
Yes.
ontabletop.com, where I was was thinking, did I miss something in that movie when I watched
No.
it way back?
No. The original, I remember seeing Alien, when I was 18, probably before I was 18, because it came out in 86. So I think I managed to get it and see it before that. And there is a scene of them watching the smart gun counters go down as the aliens are charging them in the control panel.
So we're talking not about Alien, but Aliens.
Yes.
The second film.
The second one, yes, where the aliens are charging down the tunnels to come after them.
Yeah.
Marines that have survived, and there is scenes of all of them watching the smart guns count down to 0.
Yes.
When the aliens stop.
Where the automated guns in the hallway is firing away like crazy, and the main characters huddle in the room behind.
Yes, and they stop. The guns stop. I remember seeing that in the original cut. I saw the original cut before I saw the special edition.
I do remember that scene as well, but I couldn't make heads nor tails about anything love story.
No, because the only bits that were cut out of the special edition was the Hadley's Hope stuff at the beginning. Really, the 20 minutes at the beginning where you see Newt's family is the one that finds the space.
I remember that scene.
Mm-hmm. That's the only bits I remember being missing from the original theatrical cut that I watched on video of Aliens, but I'll have to watch it on Disney Plus and see what's different, because I've got the director's cut of Alien as well, and there is some additional stuff in Alien that wasn't in the theatrical stuff.
Thank God for physical media, you
Indeed.
fucking fucks out there who always proclaim digital is the best way to go. Nobody can fuck with your DVD or your
Nobody
Blu-ray.
can mess with the DVD when it's released.
No, if it's in your
Actually, yes, one person can. It's called George Lucas when he releases 4 billion different versions of his
Yeah,
bloody movie.
but still, the one you've got in your sweaty paws is the one you have, and you can choose to watch.
I was going to say, because I've got 1, 2,
Though, to be fair, this
3.
really only applies to DVDs. Blu-rays
Yeah.
technically could be fucked.
Yes, because I've got the Star Wars collector's edition of Star Wars on Blu-ray, along with the Family Guy the 3 episodes of Family Guy on Blu-ray. I have the re-released Star Wars that they released, the non-special edition versions, the special edition versions, and another non-set of non-special edition versions of Star Wars.
It's not like we are spoiled for choice.
No, and how about this? Is really bad. I was able to, before they were released on Disney Plus, and this is going back a long time, get 3 videos with, I think, a total of 9 episodes of the Ewoks.
Yeah, I've got the original trilogy in letterbox and TV format, and as the what's it called? Not the extended, but the
special editions.
Yeah, the special editions where he just polished them up a bit and didn't add anything more. And
he took out solo shooting first.
Yeah, but that's, I think, the only major part in it. And I've actually had the fortune of watching those in the cinema in a all-nighter.
Yes, I saw those when they were released at the pictures. One after the other, I went to the pictures. I remember I went. This is show how bad of a Star Wars fan I am. In the UK, when we knew the special editions were coming out, especially Episode 4, the Star Wars, when it was announced that they were coming, and it was announced that with Walt Disney's 101 Dalmatians in the cinema with Glenn Close playing Cruella, that the trailer for the special editions was being aired. So I went to the pictures to see a trailer and just happened to watch 101 Dalmatians afterwards.
Yeah.
So I paid money to go and see a trailer, and the movie was there. I enjoyed the movie, but I paid the money specifically to go and see the trailer for Star Wars.
I think you're not the only one that did
no,
that.
I'm probably not.
And I'm pretty sure that's why that Dalmatians movie made any money at all.
Yeah, all the Star Wars fans going to see them.
Yeah, and after the trailer has launched, everybody else leaves, and the 3 kids in the room sit there going, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah, all the adults got up to walk out.
Yeah, but coming back to Star Wars, we are spoiled for choice. You can basically get every version you like and mix and match as you want. The ones I'm still looking for is, but that's more or less a wet dream, the original theatrical releases on Laserdisc.
Ooh,
I want them.
Did I get a copy of them off? I got a copy of Star Wars off Laserdisc.
Yeah, but
I got a bunch of films. Actually,
I don't want copies. I want a Laserdisc player and those LP-sized Laserdiscs.
Yes, because what was it I got a hold of before I was able to ever get a hold of the UK edition, and even the UK edition was edited. I got a hold of Mask of the Phantasm, the animated Batman movie they did.
Mm-hmm.
Someone got it from the States. Had a Laserdisc player that could play both Europe and American Laserdiscs.
So PAL and NTSC.
Yeah, and he copied it for us because there was some additional. There was about 20 or 30 seconds of additional stuff in the US edition where their censors hadn't censored it as much as the UK. So there was a little bit more violence and stuff. Batman being a little bit more Batman-y when it came to the Joker and stuff. It was just getting a hold of it as well because we couldn't get it for love nor money in the UK at the time. I don't even think it had a cinema release really in the UK, so it was getting a hold of that. But yeah, I mean, I saw somebody actually have the laser discs in their hand, and I mean, this is going back to the early early 2000s would have been. You know, because that's when Laserdisc
Yeah,
was.
late 90s, early 2000s, just before
Yeah.
DVD hit the market.
Yeah, you know, there was people. You know, I saw people. There was a guy I knew as well. You know, he was buying the Disney movies on Laserdisc and all sorts because the quality of them was just astounding. You know, I think you know it does plus. It was just before DVD. It was just before DVD hit, wasn't it? Before Blu-ray. So the quality was
Yeah, Laserdisc had been around for a while, but at that
yeah,
point it had been somewhat affordable. It was still very expensive,
it was, yeah.
but it worked, and the main selling point is the medium doesn't degrade unless, unlike your VHS tape that wear out after the bazillionth time watching.
Yeah, and I mean the quality of the Laserdisc as well. I think put at the time DVD to shame in some respects, because some of the DVDs, a lot of the DVDs that were coming out were only coming out in like 720.
Yes, but
coming out in
those
1080.
those things were more or less down to how the
Yeah,
studios wanted to release them.
yeah.
People often forget at that point in time we had some different
Oh yeah,
video
it's too
formats on the market. There was video CD, which was a
yes.
very weird format, which basically
H
was a ordinary 700 megabyte CD-ROM with
yeah.
a hard compressed video on it.
And then you had video HD DVD, like high definition
HD
DVD.
DVD, yeah, the one that Microsoft wanted to be a thing.
Yeah, which is the one that was going up against when it was finally announced Blu-ray, and
Yeah.
Blu-ray just killed it in the market. But yeah, there was lots of different DVD formats, and then of course companies were producing their movies in different formats as well. You know, as and from letterbox or pan and scan. You know, and so
I'm just thinking, did Star Wars ever get a release on HD DVD?
no, but I've got episodes 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on DVD, and I've got them twice on DVD, I think, looking at it. But I could be wrong. Looking at my box sets on the
Well,
shelf.
I've got the silver box set, I've got the gold
Yes.
box set, and I've got the episodes 1, 2, 3 in regular DVD cases. And
Yeah,
then, of course, I've got the big Blu-ray box of
Yes.
all 9.
I haven't got episodes. I've stopped getting like for blue buying stuff when a lot of the stuff dropped onto onto the streaming services, because of the fact is that I don't have enough room. I hold my hand up. I don't have enough room. I just went and had a look at how much room I do not have this past weekend, and it was like, oh shit. Because I need to get a new desk, you see, for the corner to set up for working at home, because that's going to become more of a thing, as we all know. Even as more people are vaccinated, stuff, it's one of the things. I think one of the options we're definitely going to be given to the ability to work from home a lot more, which I quite like. But that's just my own personal
But
preference.
you're saying you're just looking at the space argument, and especially with Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm too afraid of them fucking the movies up over and over again. So if I like a movie, I'm buying it and I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
And there's no way that they can get that back from me.
Very true. I mean, I must admit, I was sorely tempted to buy them digitally, like the get all 9 digitally with all the extras and stuff.
Yeah.
Just to have them, the ability to download and and delete from my library and re-download again, because that's how a lot of the digital stuff works, especially if you buy through iTunes, which was predominantly where I was going to get them, because a lot of the stuff I have bought recently has been through iTunes anyway. But I'll just look at the amount of space I've got no space, and I was looking. I need to put some shelves on actual wall to put all my Funkos and my Black Series Star Wars, and I've just had a look this past weekend. It's the company where I get the Black Series from, and there's a bunch of new Black Series coming out at the end of the year. Well, November, October time. One of them is a new version of Rex from the Bad Batch, with the cloak and stuff that he wore.
Yeah.
So there's a version of Rex coming. There's a couple of clone troopers coming one of them I've never even, one of the clone commanders,
It's really nice. I know for a fact I've got a Cosca Reeve, a Rekka, and a Tech on the way. So that completes the Bad Batch that they've released so far. Plus, I've got a Bo-Katan, so I've got a Cosca Reeve to go win with Bo-Katan. In Black Series, I've got another Bo-Katan Funko on the way from The Mandalorian because I've got a Bo-Katan from Clone Wars. I know I've got an Omega on the way. My missus bought me the Bad Batch in Funko.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got all of the members of the Bad Batch. I'm just missing Omega.
Well, she'll be around eventually.
She'll be arriving shortly, I think.
Yeah.
But and then I look in the back and go, which will lead us into a little bit of our next topic, shall we say, is all of the Star Wars Legion stuff I have sitting there. And it's like,
yeah. And before we get into this, we need to take a short break because I'm running out of beer and I need to get one. I'll be back in a minute. We will cut the intersection. So, Ralph, if you need to take a leak of sorts,
I'm going to go and get a drink myself.
Yeah, we'll be back shortly. See you live. We're back. So, you were about to say something about Star Wars Legion.
Yes.
Which isn't actually Star Wars Epic Legion, which is a bloody shame that Atomic Mass Games still haven't returned my calls on how to make a very cool Star Wars game. But
I was just wondering, have you been banned yet from their Twitch stream?
I think they start getting annoyed because they actually returned some banter I said, and then you can ask again. We will deny again.
Yeah, there's going to be lots of denials, isn't there, until something comes out, but we don't know what they're even doing with. We know what they're doing with their game up to a point.
The most hilarious thing would be if they had actually planned something along those lines, and now some internal investigation is running around asking, did somebody leak this info?
Who leaked?
The mouse is going to have our heads.
Yeah, the mouse is on its way. Run, folks, run. The mouse is on its way.
And to be fair,
is going to kill us.
I think I'd be scared shitless if my corporate overlords would be something like the mouse.
Yeah, the mouse isn't taking prisoners, I think,
No,
in some respects. Well,
the mouse isn't funny when it comes to business.
It could be worse. It could be Games Workshop, but that's a different conversation altogether.
Yeah, not going there. No, sir.
Sorry, I had to get that one in.
You're having a lot of things to paint for Star Wars Legion. So...
I have a lot of clones to paint for Legion,
well,
and I've still got my 500-point force. And then we know what's coming and what's out now, actually, because he did drop. Have you got Did you order your Yoda, or didn't you bother?
Since Yoda isn't for Rebellion or Rebels or Empire, I couldn't be asked. I pre-ordered the Wookiees. But on my pile of opportunity, there's still some Mandalorians, two large vehicles, and a Luke Skywalker, and one of these or other things. So I still need to get my paint mojo back.
Yes, I'm a little bit the same. I have a 500-point clone force plotted out, and I have painted, and you've seen the pictures. I did finish my customized clone commander, which I did enjoy. Kit bashing. Paint job's all right. Paint jobs does, at a distance, it's fine. I think when you get up close, it's like all paint jobs. You look at it and go,
yeah, don't look through the lens of a camera.
Yeah, it's that type of thing. But at a distance, it's fine. I'm really happy with the kit bash I did on it. Mixing some of the bits from all of the different sort of the clone commander and the ARC troopers together, and I think it works really well.
Oh, speaking of kit bashing, I had a really blast yesterday on a stream. This is going. It stays almost Star Warsy, so bear with me here on this one. Ever since my friendly local game store has stopped being in business, I had to look for other venues to get my stuff from. And the current shop I'm ordering from also has a regular brick-and-mortar store.
Mm-hmm.
And what I didn't know is that the returns and damaged items, they make a auction from it.
All right.
Live on Twitch. And the rules are very, very simple. It says you pay €50. I start stacking things on the table, and whoever cries mine first gets it.
That's
And
not bad. That's a good idea. It's a
and,
good.
and they
you know.
have everything nearly that's board and miniatures game related, except Games Workshop. Though they
Oh,
sell
well.
Games Workshop, but those things don't end up on these.
No, I doubt they would. The way
So-
because we know how
So
that company
I
operates.
didn't know about this until
Mhm.
yesterday when I sat down on the PC and got a notification. Yeah, your store is live on Twitch. And I thought,
Mhm.
well, what are they doing? And the minute I tuned in, somebody snagged a huge pile of Legion, Armada, and X-Wing. And I was, this is interesting.
Damn. Curse
I
this,
think
spoiled
I'll
again.
need to look this further. I need to see what's coming. And there was a lot of things like Mantic terrain crates and Corvus Belly and Infinity and
Yeah.
this weird board game, this huge Imperium.
Or not
Uh,
the FFG one, Imperial.
no,
Oh,
not Imperial Assault. No, it's
not Imperial.
not a
No, it's
Star Wars
Twilight
game.
Imperium.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an FFG one. It's
Two-
huge. It's
Yeah,
massive.
and they had 2 of those boxes, and alone these things are very, very expensive. And
Yes.
of course, most of these things are either damaged or have some parts missing, but overall, there's still value in it. One pile was composed of the Alien vs Predator game, missing only the cards.
Which you cannot get for love nor money because it's out of print.
Yeah, but if you only want the miniatures, that's a steal. And
You can get the cards easily. There's PDFs lurking of the
yeah,
cards.
so if you get that game and you get the cards, you've got a complete game. And they added, and it was very much all
Lovely
fun and
minis, like
games. And at one point, they started to make a new box, and he said, "Yeah, this is going to be tabletop gaming," and I was okay. I'm listening. The first 2 boxes were Victory at Sea, Battle for the Pacific. That's the starter set.
Warlords, yes.
Um, 2 times. Both had parts missing, but nothing major. So I thought, yeah, let's see if I can make one complete kit of it.
You probably will be able to.
Then there were 2 Kings of War Armada Bazillion booster fleets.
All right. Oh, well.
Also missing a few tiny parts. Where, yeah, okay, maybe sell them off at eBay, do a swap or something.
I think we both know somebody who might want them.
Yeah. Then the first terrain crate came, Dungeon Essentials, which is
always useful.
Which is basically the stuff I want for my Hero Quest build.
Yes.
The next one was a complete box of Terrain Crate Industrial Zone.
Ooh, that'll be useful for any sci-fi game.
Yeah, it's very nice terrain, and just running the numbers, and up until now we're already at roughly 220 euros if you buy all those things new. And then they put on the D&D Collector's Series Adult Red Dragon. That's a limited edition figure that's limited to, I think, to 1,500 worldwide, and that's on top.
And that's it.
At that point, I screamed, "This is mine! Give it to me now! I want that!" I can justify the price of 50 euros simply by the Industrial Zone package. Everything else on this is
and the dragon.
Freebie. Yeah, and
that dragon will not be cheap.
No, and I think since the box of that dragon didn't have any sticker to it, every box that has pieces missing has the post-it on it saying what's missing, and the dragon didn't. It was only a dented box.
It's a WizKids. It's a WizKids one, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not the pre-painted play part. It's the resin thing to build and collect. So yeah, that thing alone, if you buy it on their shop, is usually about 76 euros.
Yes,
So-
I'm just looking here. Is it the Icon one, isn't it? Isn't it?
It's the Collector Series Adult Red Dragon. The other ones are all pre-painted. That's a pure resin one in, I think, 13 pieces. So I've snagged things roughly around 330 euros for 50, and now
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my parcel to arrive.
Yeah, because the one here is the Adult Red Dragon premium figure.
Yeah.
It's not that one, is it?
I couldn't tell. I can't see your screen.
No. No, I'm looking on kiosk cards. I just went. It's the Dragon Icons of the Realm Adult Red Dragon premium figure, but I think it's pre-painted.
Yeah, there isn't
But
a Red
but
Dragon
it's-
pre-painted, but the Adult Red Dragon is a collector's version. I
Yeah.
think it's WizKids here.
Yeah, it would be WizKids. If it is that one, you're still talking in pounds for that one alone, which is a pre-painted Icons one, and that's £70.
No,
in
the
Britain for
the
that.
WizKids one I'm looking now with clear front. That's pre-painted.
Yeah.
That's
Right, yeah,
not it.
That's
That's
not that
the
one.
one I have is pure resin. You need to paint.
Mm-hmm. I typed resin. It's interesting to come up with that. Anyway, yes, you're not talking. You know what would have been really interesting if it had been the other one. I think I might have found it. It's a Pathfinder one, but I don't know if it's that one. That's a Gargantuan Red Dragon. Unpainted deep cuts, but that's for Pathfinder battles. You know, the flying dragon thing.
It's hard to find anything on
Yeah.
it. I tried to look if somebody did a painting tutorial, but yeah, it didn't.
Yeah,
no,
'cause
it's
I've been-
Gale Force 9. That's why I can't find it on.
Yes, it'll be Gale Force. I mean, I've been looking for ages for a decent, really nice dragon to paint. You know, because this is sort of off topic, but it's tabletop gaming.
So,
which,
so
you know,
that's
part-
the Gale Force 9 article number 71010 Collector Series Adult Red Dragon.
Gale
And I'm
Force.
just looking on eBay, and there's one going for $90.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah.
And having
It's-
collectible things is always nice, and even
Oh, it is. Yeah.
even if I
Yes.
struggle to paint it.
Mhm. Yeah, Ancient Red Dragon. That's on Etsy, but
I
that's
just hope-
Yeah, it's
I just hope it's complete, and when it's if it's not complete, I'll need to look into sourcing replacement parts.
You maybe get parts. I'm assuming it might be, but looking at it, because I've found one here, it's a side image of it, and it's got the height, the dimensions of it.
Yeah, that's
and
the back of the
it's-
box.
Yeah, so it's 20 inches wingspan.
Mhm.
17 centimeters tall. Oh, that's gonna be a meaty, nice mini.
Yeah, that's a display piece. That's nothing you put on the table to play with. That's just having to look at.
No, it's definitely a play piece. It's definitely a piece where your players go, oh, we're going to enter this dragon's thing, and you go, right, here's the dragon you're fighting.
Yeah,
you know, you
but
just
it's
drop it on the table.
17 centimeters tall.
Yes,
It's 50 centimeters across. 20
Yeah,
inches.
yes, yeah. Huh? It's a beast. It's supposed to be. It's a red dragon.
Yeah, it's an
And he's
adult red
standing on
dragon.
his- And he's standing on his hoard as well, which is really nice. The base has got his hoard on it.
Mm.
So it's a bit like those ones that are being done by Steamforge. I was looking at those Steamforge ones actually, which are really nice.
I'm really hoping that the base is separate from the rest of the minis.
Yeah, it will be. A lot of them usually are.
Because that way I can paint
Mm-hmm.
everything before attaching the dragon to the base in his loot.
I would be tempted to crack the airbrush on that.
Oh, I surely will, because simply of the scale of
red. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm actually going to paint him red, because I don't really like the way it looks. But
I'm not a fan of the some of the designs for the red dragons. I'm not a fan of, but I could see taking either a green, or if you really wanted to be think out the box, you could go metallic.
yeah,
So you could
I was
go-
thinking more of about having him a dark blue, nearly black, with violet wings or something.
I mean, the other way of doing it is you could go full white dragon and take out like instead of using white, use something like a ship. I was watching somebody paint the Captain America, like the star on Captain America's shield,
Mhm.
and he didn't do it initially white. He did it in this
Bleached bone.
no, he did it in a gray, like a ship not battleship grey, but like ship hull grey, which is an army paint. So it's just a very, very off-white, and then went over at the end to highlight it with white, and it sort of popped a bit. So it looked interesting using like grey.
Yeah,
For it,
but
you know.
but this was just me going off on a rant. There's being a bit very proud of having snagged some stuff.
That's a bargain. I'm guessing you're going to be keeping an eye on
Oh,
Legion stuff.
I'm praying to whatever God is listening that I'm never finding time again to watch any of those live streams. I'm going to
You
be.
never know; it might pop up with we're doing Star Wars Legion,
Well,
and Armada and stuff.
they actually sold off some Star Wars Legion stuff, and this is why I initially got to it, because you said you were doing kit bashing.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, they had ample kits of different vendors of miniatures, Star Wars Legion included, and every box had a sticker on it saying "arms missing."
That's
Yeah, there were boxes missing arms from Legion, from Flames of War, from different other vendors, and there were always the arms missing. And at some point, somebody said, "Yeah, there's somebody sitting on a large hoard of arms."
yes. The thing is, anyway, there's enough people on Etsy that you can get replacement arms with easily. You know, there are 3D printers that are 3D printing minis. A couple of them now I've seen, especially on some of the Facebook groups, where they're doing modular ones.
Mhm.
So you're not just you're getting, say, a set of legs, a body, a head, and arms, and you can intermix so you can get different poses. All to scale, all to Legion scale, you know. So for Star Wars, they're all Legion scale. So they're doing clones, they've done rebels. I saw an interesting one, which is rebels, but it wasn't just human rebels. It was a lot of different alien heads.
Mhm.
Because you know you would expect,
which is a thing that we are asking IMG and FFG to do for a long time now.
Yeah. So there are people out there doing, you know, that are just 3D printing the heads. It's the same with the helmets and stuff. You know, where 3D printing, you know, basically there's a couple of the model makers where you can buy the STL file, and it's just different style of clone helmets. So you've got the like Bracca's helmet, you've got the ART helmet and stuff like that you can just put on your clone bodies. Because, you know, when you look at the clones, and this goes back to the TV series and stuff, there was a lot of different helmet styles as well. We know Rex's helmet is actually a phase 1 and a phase 2 helmet merged together.
Yeah, he's actually the incarnation of Kit Bash.
Yeah. So, you know, but you know, we're going back around to what's due. Is we know the Wookiees have come out, which look really nice, actually.
Yeah, the Wookiees that I think those are the first real proper implementation of new units that are made for people of many factions, because the miniatures work with Rebels and Galactic Republic, and they also include cards for both factions. And I think if you really wanted to make a Rebel-based army with a huge Wookiee following, you now actually are able to do without having too much repetition in the models count.
Yeah, I think they need to go back to that originally Wookiee set that they released and possibly just do cards for it, I think.
Yeah, and I'm also very disappointed that they didn't use the Fluttercraft and made that one for Rebel as well, because why
is it not dual faction?
No, the Wookiees are the only ones.
Right.
The Fluttercraft and Yoda, and what was the other one they did? The Spider Droid and the Magma Guard, they're all just Clone War areas.
Well, I could understand the Magna Guard and the Spider Droid being,
and I can understand why Yoda is only Clone
Yoda's a strange one. I would have thought, why not allow Yoda to be part of the Rebels, where you could replace Yoda and have Yoda
because he was 900 years old and almost dead at that point.
But, you know, or does this just open them up to say, right, we'll produce a different version of Yoda that can...
That could be the point, but I think Yoda in original trilogy as a fighter just doesn't fit the narrative.
Very, very true. Yeah, he does. It does. But you've got old man Palpatine wandering around.
Yeah, but he's in the movies as well, kicking ass, taking
True.
names.
Yeah, very
And
true.
but what disappointed me a bit was the Fluttercraft has no real reason not to be available to the
Yeah,
rebels because the Wookiees are still around, obviously.
yeah. I'm wondering though as well do you think, here's one just from a rules thing, that they will do not necessarily an updated Palpatine mini, but an updated Palpatine card so you could use him in the Republic?
I
So you
think
could
they
have him
would.
as a leader of the
I think
Separatists.
they would need to do a separate miniature at that point because he would be the senator, and the senator never got into action.
Well, he did in Revenge of the Sith. He fought Yoda and stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, but at that point he was Palpatine.
Yeah, that's what I meant, is doing a Palpatine Emperor version that you could use.
No, because
But
I think that the
oh no, you
mentality
couldn't.
behind Clone Wars era miniatures
Yeah.
is you are the good guys, quote
Yes.
unquote.
Yeah,
So
just sort of
it wouldn't fit.
talked myself out of that argument by going, yeah, because Palpatine at the end had done Order 66, so technically the clones were stormtroopers.
They could technically, I think, and this is would be very weird. They could use the old Palpatine mini and use a new card to make him for the what's the opposing faction of the Galactic Republic?
Well, Separatists.
Separatists, yeah, because he's behind them.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Is you just do a new unit card. You just don't bother
Yeah.
with the
But then
keep the
again,
mini as is.
But then again, Darth Sidious never
Yes.
was actually fighting anybody
No.
until the last movie of that trilogy. So I'm guessing we don't see anything about that. But I think for many other miniatures, that would be a viable way. So I wouldn't see any way why Chewbacca couldn't get cards
I would like to see
for.
them do a new Chewbacca because he was there with Yoda. He was
Yeah,
on Kashyyyk, and that's what this set is for, isn't it? It's
they
the Battle of Kashyyyk.
could simply do a new card for him and put him that way. They could make cards for some distinct clone troopers
They,
to be available to the rebels later on, to potentially.
I think what they need to do, and it's not so much from a point of view of cards. I think from Mini's point of view, and I know there's is it Dallas? I think who's one of the guys that's on the stream painting a lot. He was painting up his clones as the wolf pack. So I posted up a couple of times, and a couple of people have as well. Was when are we getting specific command? Like, are we going to get wolf
Named
as
commanders?
Named commanders. So a Cody mini, a Wolf mini, a Gregor mini, a one for the commander that was on Kashyyyk, the one that Yoda beheads. An updated Chewbacca card. For the Battle of Kashyyyk, which would be really, really interesting.
I think what's going to be interesting is Atomic Mass Games just announced that they are going to do the second part of their thingamajig, whatever it's called, in September.
Or their stream.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that will be the first time where we'll be getting news of things that will be released in 2022 completely under the AMG brand without any reference to FFG.
Did they say what day and time in September?
They actually did. I just looking at their homepage. No, they didn't specify. This really drives me up the wall. Their homepage is so badly maintained.
Bad. It is a bad webpage.
Mini Stragavanza on 9th to 11th of September.
Right. That is the week before Gen Con. Gen Con is September the 16th to the 19th.
Yeah, so I'm guessing there will be some.
They may be avoiding Gen Con and just doing their own thing.
Yeah, there will be some things getting pulled out of the hat at that point of time.
Yeah, because there'll be a lot of probably showing off what they're doing with Marvel Crisis Protocol, because that current crop of stuff that they're busy doing, like Dormammu and the Doctor Strange and all the mystical stuff is really nice. And if you look at the size of that Dormammu mini they've produced, it's huge. So that shows they can do large scale, minis quite effectively.
Yeah, and
So
I think that they actually will go out of their way and do something new. I'm really, and this is going back to their recent wave of layoffs they've had. I'm really looking forward to the stuff that Luke has still had his hands in designing before he got laid off for whatever reason.
yeah, it's weird that they but a lot of companies seem to be doing that at the moment. There's
Yeah, but
whether-
why get one of the initial rules writing people move from one part of the country to another to have him work continuously on the IP he had helped to create, only to just lay him off from one day to another.
no idea. Just
It's-
politics of corporations.
So either way, I can only see so many things that could be the cause of this. Either he rubbed somebody the wrong way who is
Yeah.
way up higher the food chain, or there is something coming which we don't see right now, which is
that's-
actually a bit scary.
There's probably something coming that we don't see. We know it's it's atomic mass and FFG, well as Modi. We have no idea what they're planning. From point of view of things, we know that they are planning, or they're bringing out they're working on their Vader rules. I think that Vader idea, which is you have one basically Vader as the unstoppable force. It's a bit like the stuff to do with Thanos and the Hulk and stuff. Where you had that one mini. And everybody else was like attacking it, so it's almost like a Rogue One-y, sort of thing.
Yeah, why should I be afraid? The only thing I see is dead people.
Yeah, well, we really don't know, but it's interesting that for this back end of this year they picked a theater of conflict, to put the minis in, yeah. So we're getting the Fluttercraft, and the Fluttercraft looks really nice as a mini.
Yeah, it does.
It really does look
I'm
well.
a bit scared of how it will be to be put together, because
Oh yeah, transporting that thing's gonna be a nightmare.
and also the actual assembly, because
Oh yeah,
remember the clone the droids from
I
the...
haven't even touched my original droid troopers that are still in the box.
I watched multiple videos of people assembling them, and I was not going there, not touching that.
Their feet are a pain in the behind. I haven't even touched mine. They're still in the box. The only stuff that I took out of the box was the clone trooper, the Kenobi, and the Bark Speeder, and I haven't even built the Bark Speeder yet.
You don't need much more.
You don't need much more. I've got a lat to build as well at some point. I still haven't thought about how I'm going to do that, whether I do it with the doors open and doors closed, and build some clones to put in the back.
You could ask Blinky to make you some mechanism that the doors go open and close on their own.
I was thinking more the fact is the whole LED thing, but that's just
yeah. I don't. As much as I like the idea and the visual effect that these things have, I don't think I can be asked to do that.
No, I can't be bollocks to do it. It's a gaming piece to be played on a tabletop.
Yeah.
That's how I see them.
If the dragon lends itself well to be illuminated via the means of LED in any shape or form, I may have a second thought about it. But gaming pieces are not getting any electronics in it.
I think for the dragon, the way to do it was not so much illuminate the dragon, but illuminate base. And if it's piles of gold, you put some some LEDs in there.
Yeah, some color shifting LEDs going all the bling bling.
Yeah, do it that way. So just drill some small holes in the base, put some LEDs in that, change shape, and then it looks like gems. That would be the easiest way of doing it. Because I know our sort of mutual friend on OTT, Jerry, is doing some crazy things with smoke and LEDs on that.
Oh, if I could talk about things I have seen.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
the stuff that he mentioned on XLBS about the Cromlech.
Yeah, he really teased some things behind the
Yes.
scenes, and he actually didn't show me anything. And but God,
No.
the amount of work he put into that giant stomper is amazing.
Yeah, it's a big kit though, isn't it? It is a big piece of,
Yeah, it's not that expensive.
No, it's because it's MDF, isn't it? It's not resin.
I think the cheapest complete kit you can get is about 70 euros.
Yeah.
Which is compared to any Games Workshop miniature of that size.
That's a drop in the ocean compared to some Games Workshop.
It's almost a steal.
I watch. Is it Midwinter Minis or?
Yeah.
I think it's Midwinter Minis because Guy is busy building a
Titan,
Warlord Titan,
a Forge World Titan,
which is like silly money.
Yeah, but not as silly as the money that Squidmar has invested into his full metal Thunderhawk.
Oh yes, the Thunderhawk was even worse, wasn't it?
Yeah, in every aspect it was worse, because the actual miniature, quote unquote, was worse to build because it was simply a nightmare.
Oh yeah, I mean it's because you're probably going to have to soak a good chunk of that in warm water to probably straighten properly.
No.
To clean, not anything.
Yeah, but you can't straighten the Thunderhawk because it's all metal.
I thought it was resin as well.
No. This limited edition Thunderhawk he made is metal. That thing weighs a ton. That's why you need supporting structures to put it on a flight stand. That thing is so heavy. That's a mini you can't throw at your opponent. You can't. It's not possible.
Yeah, you'd give yourself a hernia lifting it up, wouldn't you?
Unless you're some kind of Olympic hammer throwing guy, you're not going to throw that.
Very true. So, what do we think? Going back to our normal topic of conversation. Sorry, folks. Myself and Tim haven't spoken to each other for ages, so
yeah, and you will all be made to suffer.
Yes, all will be made to suffer. What do you think they're going to do next then? Or what would you like? I know what you would like to possibly see next.
Well, I was thinking about it. I think we're currently, actually, at the end of the year, we're at that point where the originals core set and the Clone Wars core set, speaking in regards of what they got for expansions, are at some point of equilibrium.
Yeah.
So they could go either direction. I would really would like to have generic troops, multi-pose miniatures, just to buff the ranks. I really don't see the need for more complex units, for more feature creep. I really would like to say, have them go, yeah, we're going to release a box of, let's say, 30 stormtroopers, a box of 30 rebels, a box of 30 clone troopers, and a box of 30 or whatever number makes sense in
7
in separatists. and thus just have them in a way where you can mix and match and build them as you want, and you don't have to make sure that arm A goes into figure A.
So it allows for that customization of pose. And so you have say a generic body, or the body's in 2 parts, so it's legs and top, that you can sort of mix and match together.
Even if body and legs were a single pose, having poseable arms and heads and interchangeable ones would be a very, very highly thought about thing, especially going with rebel troopers, because I think they definitely lack some variety.
Yeah, it's predominantly all human, isn't it? And it's not much in the way of alien heads, where you know for a fact
we have aliens in the specialists range, but we also could use. You remember the fleet troopers with the weird helmets?
Yeah.
Why don't they get some non-human heads? You don't have to go way out of your league to have somebody in there with a fleet helmet.
But if they're going down the route, and this is the one that sort of tweaks my interest a little bit, is because they seem to be at the back end of this year, they picked a battle, didn't they? So the 2 releases that we've had have been based around the Battle of Kashyyyk. Yeah. If they continue that trend
Mhm.
of picking a battle, do you think if they say pick a battle from that we know from the original trilogy, do we then think, oh, are they going to bring out some new Hoth and do some new Hoth stuff?
Well,
Or are they
technically,
going to do Endor?
we had Hoth and Endor
Mhm.
because we had the
Commandos and the Pathfinders.
yeah, and we had the gun emplacements for the rebels, and
Yeah.
we had the gun emplacement
Tauntaun
for Empire, and we had the snowtroopers, and we had the
Riders.
Tauntaun riders. So I'm guessing Hoth and those are off the table already. I'm not quite sure if we had anything specific to Tatooine. I think not.
Dewbacks.
Yeah, Dewbacks and the terrain piece that it came with R2D2 and C3PO.
Yeah, and the land speeder.
Um,
I'm wondering, here's one for you, is
Mhm.
if they, where they're talking about, say, dual faction, but it doesn't necessarily have to be dual faction. But if they say picked Endor, and we've had Wookiees, small furry teddy bears.
I would like that to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. Simply because those would be... Every other unit we have is a unit that could be on the battlefield potentially everywhere on the planet, on every planet. And Ewoks are only on Endor.
Mhm.
So they maybe they do some weird Christmas thing and say, yeah, this is a one-off. We are giving you a box of miniatures, and they get a weird extra card, and you can play them either with Rebels or with Galactic Republic. But no, I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, the other one I thought about, but we've had the short troopers, but that's really it. And I suppose any of the rebels, the specialist specialty words was you could do Scarif.
Mm-hmm.
You could do the Battle of Scarif.
That would be something they could add
where you can add into it, and then maybe one of the boxes, and maybe this goes into something else that they could do, which is giving us specialist boxes of what you can call it, saying, well, here is the troops that were with them, so I know we've already had the small alien and stuff like that, but here is the crew from Rogue One as a collection.
Yeah.
Instead of say producing them as individuals. There's, because we've had Jane, we've had what's his face with K2SO, Andor, but we haven't had the rest, have we? We haven't had Chouadette or Donnie Yan's character or the other one.
Weren't they part of the specialist group?
No, I don't remember seeing him.
The most thing I've
seen 3D prints, but not of them.
The thing I'm scared about the most is that they actually might be tempted to do another core set and use the sequels.
Yes, that'll be the Resistance.
Resistance versus New Order.
Yeah.
It did work for X-Wing to a degree, but I don't think that would work on Legion.
No, I don't think
simply
it would,
because you would simply reissue most of the cast from the original trilogy in a form that many people disliked.
Yeah.
And the new characters are simply, aside from from that trooper with a melee weapon that kicked the shit out of
Finn. I know which one you mean. Yeah.
Everything else was bland.
It's a divisive, probably collection, to say the least, with some of the fandom.
Yeah,
I think it's probably the best way of describing it. Without tipping over that hornet's nest.
Yeah, and you possibly could get some value out of the first movie, but the second one, I really struggled thinking of any character in that movie getting a reason to exist in Legion.
I could see one on the third, which was the female Resistance person where they were riding, one of the ones that was riding the horse on the back of the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, but that's more or less. I think I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but the sequels really don't add up in any way, shape, or form. I don't think they were. It's justifiable to call them bad movies, but they just don't have the same level
It's
of
it's yeah. There
sparking
was no
ideas and giving more. It's just it's a movie and it's done, and then you close it.
there was not a cohesive thought behind the joining of the three films together. You know, that's really what it was. There seemed to be three separate films, not a story told in three parts.
I think that's the thing that hurts at the most in the realm of why don't you get any games from this? Because you can only make a game from one movie. If you shoehorn in any other movie, it's going to feel shoehorned in.
But I just hope that, because, say, for example, then they may struggle, that they decide, well, we'll just concentrate on, say, Marvel and not bother with any more Legion, which, you know, we've seen gaming companies do that in the past.
But I don't think they can afford to do that. And
True.
And
the
simply,
mouse would not be happy.
And simply the fact that they are doing Twitch streams twice a week.
Yeah.
Pondering to the crowd of X-Wing and Legion, I think they know where the money is.
Oh yeah, definitely. So
and
I think it's a wait and see, isn't it? It's a wait and see to see what they do. We may end up getting, and seriously, we may end up getting large scale vehicles, which means you may end up getting your AT-AT to scale.
I'm still saying that an 8080 would be way too big to be any use in Legion.
You never know. You might actually get it as a crash terrain piece, but like how they did the AT-ST.
Yeah, okay, I can see him as a terrain piece, but not as a unit. And if the pricing of the terrain piece is anything to go by the AT-ST, I'm not buying that. Sorry.
No, that was an expensive piece of resin.
I'd rather buy the Revel kit and mash that one up to have a terrain piece, because that's way more affordable. You know, basically,
it's a wait and see game.
The pipe dream I have is really still epic Star Wars Legion, and even though that started as a joke, I really find myself wanting that.
Well, you have seen those Facebook posts of somebody who printed off a load of 10mm Legion stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, and also it's
wonderful.
Behind me in my shelf, there's this ancient game of Attack on Hoth, which basically is that.
I have it on a shelf up here.
And if you use that core concept of having a mass battle and just use large units, it works. And if you look at Epic 40K or War Master or whatever 6 to 10 mil game you want, it just works. And I think that's something they should actually pursue. But on the other hand, I don't know how big the company is. I don't know how many designers they have. I don't know how long it takes for something to be approved by the license holder, which can be a royal pain in the rectum.
Indeed. I was just trying to see if I could spot where he got those. Was it 6mm or 10mm? It was 10mm, wasn't it?
I think it was 10mm. So, giving the question back to you, what do you think AMG may have up their sleeves for September coming next year?
I'm thinking we may go back to Clone Wars, and I'm wondering whether it'll be, you know, maybe we may see another. I think we'll see another large vehicle. Myself, I'm hoping it would be the gunship, not which is the next one up from the last, but that's just because you can get it elsewhere, and I would love to have one. But I'm wondering if we'll go back into Clone Wars, and we may see them start maybe produce clone commandos as a set, which would be an interesting one. The actual commandos themselves, not necessarily the Bad Batch. Because, you know, they could possibly be the same box size as the ARC Troopers, and we know that an ARC Trooper unit is 4 clones. It's 4 ARC Troopers plus an additional one.
I think
in the rules,
and that's just now going off the top of my head, I think we have been on the Clone Wars box trade for the longest part of this year
True.
now. So I really fear a bit if they continue to do just Clone Wars, that
Mm.
people that originally went onto Legion because it was the original trilogy,
Yeah.
that they will fall off. So I'm guessing either it will be a 50-50 mix.
Oh, I think we'll have a 50-50 mix. I'm wondering whether they'll bypass doing a actual war, like a picking a conflict,
Mhm.
and whether we just get, some box sets of, special, of like, say, here's your, instead of running ARC troopers, you can run clone commandos. Instead of
I
running,
think
say, pathfinders, you can run some rebel something else, some rebel shock troopers or whatever, something like that.
I think what would work with both factions or with both core sets would be to introduce another faction, to introduce scum and villainy.
Yeah, I was thinking that, and then do we then go down the route of, does that then allow for having the different types of Mandalorian in there?
Yeah, and I think we wouldn't need scum and villainy as a complete playable faction
No.
as is the other four we currently have, but as some sort of mercenary you could hire in any
Yeah.
army. So you could play, let's say, rebels hiring Boba Fett, or you could play the Imperium hiring Bosk and others, which you technically already can, but
Yeah.
maybe spread out those a bit more, because currently Boba Fett and Bosk are Empire only, which
Yes.
seems to be against the nature of them being, well, freelancing persons.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether it would be they do scum and villainy, possibly, or they take they have it's a separate faction. Is it a separate? It would have to be classed as a separate faction where they just dump the Mandalorians into a separate faction, and and
Could
whatever they
they?
call that faction, and then they could be the run. You could run super commandos with the Empire. You could run super commandos with the Separatists. You could run the Night Owls and Bo-Katan with the Republic. You could run them technically with the Rebels.
Could they also maybe get into making a faction that's not called Scum and Villainy, but or what those called again around Prince Shizo,
The Black Sun.
Black Sun?
No, they could. Well, that would be the other way of doing it, is running
Well,
the
and
Black Sun.
getting factions called like Black Sun and the Hut
Yeah.
Cartel and anything else that you can, or the Mining Cartel, or there are so many factions within this world that still could be exploited.
Yeah. I'm just wondering as well as if they pick a battle as an example. If they do then they did, say for example they pick another battle in the Clone Wars era, we've got the obvious one, which would then open up bringing new minis completely into it, is doing Geonosis, because then you have the Geonosians as a playable race that would be part of the Separatists, and we've not seen any of the Geonosians yet.
And at that point, they could also introduce capital vehicles for the Republic and the Separatists.
Yeah, you've got then you're looking at the other version of the spider droid with the missiles, the rounded the rotating one with the missiles and stuff, and all of that. So it opens up a way of them bringing in newer vehicles, smaller units, bigger droids, shall we say.
Here's one I think we might actually see that would be a not very exciting one, but a reasonable one, would be some kind of card pack with revised cards for some of the miniatures, just to have things ironed out. Because if I remember correctly, they said if you got cards that have typos on it, those don't get really reprints, but what did they say? What would they do if they rewrite rules for some characters? They might get a reprint of cards,
Yeah,
and
it's like
in any
it's
new box
it's
they
the
would get the
updated packs
revised
of,
cards.
yeah, it's the revised cards, because I've got 2 packs of the revised ones here that they did the first time around. Just because you need some of the additional, almost need some of the additional cards to to bolster out when you're building a clone force together of of I need multiple copies of this card. You get multiples in, but it's often not enough, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
It's the standard thing with most of this sort of most games like this that uses cards as a as a mechanism. But it's I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do, especially after September, because we know for a fact coming September, as you said, we've got they are releasing they're doing their stream again.
Yeah, the mini
So
extravaganza.
yeah, so we'll find out what, and I'm assuming this is leading into, by then the Fluttercraft will be out. I'm assuming. Does that mean we're going to get a release before Christmas? I don't think
No,
we
I
will.
don't
will
think.
we?
I think after mini extravaganza we'll get announcements for next year, and I think
So
they will take the time between September and December to get production and distribution.
Because January this year was Anakin, wasn't it? And they announced him last year, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. But then again, I don't think we can take 2020 and
Yeah,
21
we're not.
as any
Yeah.
kind of example for anything.
No, we
other
can't
than
take any of
other than political parties failing completely, people being annoying assholes, and the whole world going shit.
Yes, it hasn't been a wonderfully great year, shall we say?
Yeah, the pink we used to paint this year is actually brown.
Yeah, it's been a pretty shitty year. But then when we're looking, so we're looking forward to say to 2022. We know for a fact by the end of this year we're getting the Book of Boba Fett, but we know next year there are 4 Star Wars TV series coming. We'll bring it back around to the final sort of thing to gnash our teeth into, which is.
I still find it funny that we refer to these as TV series because nobody watches them actually as a TV series. It's a streaming thing.
It's a streaming service, but I still think them a TV because it's that weekly release.
Yeah, I think that's the only saving grace for that, because it's actually nice to have something to look forward to each week, I find.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, definitely. I know that we all gnash our teeth and think soon, why can't we watch this all at once? It's like, well, because we like watching, because we're that used to it.
Also, if they were to release everything at once, you can be dead sure that you'll be flooded with spoilers within minutes.
Also, the fact is, imagine if they'd released episode 8 of season 2 of The Mandalorian, at first, if you know what I mean. From a point of view of it's released on the Friday, and all the hardcore fans had watched it, and then by the Saturday, the people that hadn't seen it would know that a certain Jedi Master had turned up, and and it kicked ass on an epic scale.
Yeah.
But
and did you see the photos from him being on set?
Yes, you know what that's for, don't you?
Because people didn't believe that actually Mark Hamill was on set, and
even better, that Galaxy, the Star Wars Gallery TV series that they do.
Yeah.
There's a special episode coming out in August, on the 25th of August, I think they said. It's all to do with that final episode of season 2.
I'm looking forward to that one then.
Yes, so it is all to do with that. That's why it didn't appear in that hour and a half one they did. There was nothing really about the end of Mandalorian season 2, yeah?
Yeah.
There was some stuff with Bo-Katan and stuff, and them talking about it, but there was nothing to do with any of that surprise whatsoever, because they've got a dedicated episode coming supposedly on August the 25th, which I think is a Friday. Am I correct in my assumption?
And just to to go
It might
totally
be
on a
August
rant
the
again.
25th, or it might be the 27th.
If you ever want to watch anything just to relax, go on Disney Plus and look at the what's it called?
Gallery.
The gallery, or the flights around Millennium Falcon and the Star Destroyer. Just
Yeah.
let that sink in. It's very soothing. There's no jump scares or anything.
No. I mean, the other one as well, like the Gallery series, which I'll plug on, which is slightly different, but you know, it's sort of got links to Atomic Mass Games. Is they've done it for the 3 seasons of the Marvel shows that they've put on Disney Plus. So there's one for Wanda, there's one for Falcon Winter Soldier, and they've just done one for Loki as well, which is like a making of behind the scenes thing. And it's really interesting to see how they do these shows. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's Star Wars or Marvel or whatever. You know, it's really interesting the work that seems to go in. We know that coming up, there's a lot more going out. You know, The Mandalorian was very much, and it wasn't because of COVID, because COVID wasn't around, but the first 2 seasons really of The Mandalorian, apart from the Boba Fett kicking ass episode,
The
was
one
actually
I was
done
thinking about was actually Biomes.
Oh, the Biomes is really good.
That's a very, very soothing watch of things to have seen.
But yeah, the whole thing with the you know, with the way the film Star Wars was, the first season of Mandalorian was using the gallery technology while using the volume, as it's called, or stagecraft as it's now known as. Lucasfilm Stagecraft is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very much that because of the new technology. But we know in season 2 of The Mandalorian, they went out on a couple of location shoots. We know the Boba Fett episode with Fennec and him and them fighting the stormtroopers, that was all done out and away.
Which makes sense because of the rocks.
Yeah, the rocky terrain. The other one as well that we know was filmed on and it's mentioned in the first gallery series, was the season finale stuff with all the stormtroopers turning up, which were all members of the 501st, was done in a train yard next to Disney Lot. That they converted into that town in Navarro. So, you know, we know that they do go out, but there seems to be more and more location shooting now. There has been leaked, well, not so much leaked photo. It's your typical paparazzi 12 million yards away with a telephoto lens taking photos of people moving from set to trailer, wrapped in big, huge dressing gowns to hide their costumes. So we have seen pictures of Ewan McGregor. We've seen pictures of what's her face, I can't remember the name of the actress. The actress who they thought was going to be playing Satine, Duchess Satine, which is not. So. She is actually seen wearing an Imperial commander's cap. You know, the little cap that you see them wear, like the admirals and stuff wear.
Yeah.
We've seen footage of her doing that. So, you know, we've seen all of those photos and things from the what was it, the Kenobi show. So we know Kenobi is filming, and they've been filming in the UK as well. They're filming at some hotel that looks like what it looks like. But there's been lots of photos of that and of coming around. The other one that we know that we've seen even glimpses of, and we have seen some footage of it of sorts, is the Andor TV series, which we know is a prequel to Rogue One. We know that that there is going to be no K2SO in this season. Alan Tudyk came back and said, "I'm sorry, but there's going to be, you know, there's no K2SO in this," and that's all being filmed in the UK at Pinewood, where they, of course, film Star Wars and stuff like that. There's been some rumored casting leaks of sorts that in the Kenobi show we may be getting one of the sisters or the first brother, one of the Sith Inquisitors are turning up. We know that Anakin is going to be there. We know Hayden Christensen is not just playing Vader. He's putting the costume on for Vader, but supposedly he's growing his hair long to play Anakin again. From the point of view of the whole thing. So we've seen those things. Tamura Morrison is supposedly going to turn up to play Commander Cody inside of the show as well. So we know that we've got that coming next year along with Andor. We know that we've got the second season of the Bad Batch coming next year, and we've got the third season of Mando coming next year as well. So it was just there seems to be a lot going on. So we're getting at least 4 shows next year for Star Wars. The following year,
I think we can safely say we don't know actually what's going on in the universe because the mouse is keeping a tight lid on anything.
Well, yeah,
which makes it even more exciting.
It does, but we do know that we are definitely getting 4 next year because we know we're getting the second season of the Bad Batch. We're getting Kenobi, we're getting Andor, and we're getting Mandalore season 3 next year. This year, all that's left to come out for Star Wars that we know of is Visions
and Book of Fett.
Book of Fett. We know in 2022 that's probably going to be when we see Ahsoka, the Ahsoka show pop up. I don't know if Patty Jenkins' film is due for 2022 or Rogue Squadron is coming for the following year.
I'm guessing earliest would be Christmas 2022.
It would be the early, but I don't even think she's been writing the script, writing it yet. So maybe 2023 they're sort of perusing because we've got Patty Jenkins coming, and then we got Taika doing his Star Wars movie, whenever that turns up. And then Rian Johnson is still saying that he's writing his trilogy.
Well, he can be writing as much as he wants, as long as nobody lets him do it.
Well, he's still saying that he is going to do it, but we've heard nothing from the mouse. Where it was all these people were announced, weren't they? And then suddenly all these people disappeared, like Benioff and Weiss disappeared off after Game of Thrones to say we're doing Star Wars, and they were announced on Star Wars, and then Benioff and Weiss disappeared saying we're not doing Star Wars anymore. Thank God. Last season of Game of Thrones, everybody. But there is a lot on the way, I think, from Star Wars. The only thing that isn't on the way from Star Wars is some role-playing stuff, which
Yeah, but then again, role-playing games in the Star Wars universe have been around for so long, and I think there are people having their favorites from whoever did what when. I actually don't know what to wish for upcoming events on whatever Star Wars is.
I'm not sure.
I'm really scared that they will fuck it up. Whatever they do, they will horribly fuck it up.
I think, looking at the time and stuff is, we've waxed lyrical for nearly 2.5 hours, but that's just us catching up as well. I think, sort of to close off the whole thing, the fact is I don't think the people in charge of the live action TV series and the and the animated stuff, the Bad Batch being the animated, will let it be a complete train wreck. Because we know who's in charge of them. That's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. And whatever we say about that, we know Dave trained at the right hand of George, and George is involved supposedly. George has been on set. We've seen pictures of George being on set,
I'm imagining George Lucas being some kind of grey figure sitting in a dark room somewhere, and everything that is being produced somehow finds its way on his desk, and he still has his stamp of approval.
Yes, I think George still has his finger on his creation, even though he's not involved with that creation.
It's like a bit like when Disney bought it off him and then released the sequels, and they somehow fucked it up, and then they came back to him and he's sitting there. well, things must be bad if you come back to me now.
Yeah, yeah. It's George. I think is still it's still got his finger on the pulse of his franchise. I think I think we can easily say that that he's still there, he's still around. He's still he's still involved in some respects or another with it.
Yeah, and
So I can't see them completely messing that up. The stuff I could see them really screwing up is maybe the movies, but even then, you look at what movies are coming. There's only 2 movies announced, really, that we definitely know of, and we know that they've wanted to work with Patty Jenkins for a while on stuff. So we'll see what they do with Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron is going to be the interesting one, because of the fact is that supposedly they are going to be pulling legend characters as well as new characters into Rogue Squadron, supposedly.
yeah,
We just don't know where it's going to be set, whether it's going to be set during the last trilogy or prior to episode 6, post episode 6, whether it's going to be sort of a New Republic type of thing. We just don't know where it's going to be set.
I'm just going to say this now. I'm starting to getting confused by every new thing reissuing, reusing names that have been there before. It's just, yeah, Rogue Squadron is that thing I know where Luke Skywalker was going, and now it's a movie, and then before it was a book series.
Yeah.
Could you please make up new names?
Yes,
Show a bit of creativity for the lack of better terms.
But it's things are looking bright. I think we can't be reticent, and we can sort of take everything with a pinch of salt and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and things like that. But it's still looking brighter than what it was back in, say, 1984, when Star Wars was done and we didn't think we were ever going to get anything ever again. That's the way to look at it, I think.
Yeah, I think we have been spoiled for most of the things.
Yeah.
It's just, if you go back even way before Star Wars, just look at when original Star Trek ended. I don't think those people would have thought that they 50 years later would still get new episodes of a series in their universe.
Yeah, very true. Very true. That people didn't think it would still be around. It was cancelled after 3 seasons, and it was only fans that got it put into syndication. But even then, they didn't think it would come back, and it came back. We know the reason why Trek sort of re-emerged when it did, and that's because Star Wars had done so well in '77. So come '78, Paramount goes out, went, haven't we got something similar to that? And that's where we got Star Trek: The Motion Picture came from, and the rest is history. That's what we get. And it's the same with Star Wars. Star Wars finished in '83, and none of us, to be honest, ever thought we would see anything again. That not even novels.
Yeah.
And I think, and then Timothy Zahn's novels dropped.
If I'm going back to the mid-90s when there was this convention in Munich, and there was already rumors about a new episode, because there was just the release of the enhanced edition, and
1999 was this.
We were excited in '97 for having the re-release
for the special edition,
and we were so excited about having them finally something new after 20 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
And then 25 years on, we're still excited about getting new toys.
I mean, if you think this way, there was nothing really from Star Wars between 1983 when Return of the Jedi popped up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The first sort of new thing that ever appeared was Heir to the Empire.
Yeah,
and that was 1991.
That was huge.
That came out in May 1991 and was a massive success because,
not only was it really well written, and it was a good, it was taking the characters that we all knew and love and sort of showed what happened to them after that,
Yeah.
after what happened after the fall of the Empire and stuff, and that sort of thing. It was new Star Wars, so we clamored for it, and from 1991 until now, which is 91, 2001, yeah, 30 years. I had to think there, math bad. We've had something new for Star Wars every year, really.
So in one way or another, there was
One way or another, whether it be a comic book, whether it be a role-playing game, whether it be a video game, whether it be a novel. If you think of it this way, we wouldn't have had things like R.A. Salvatore dropping a planet on Chewbacca, Gurusnal.
oh yeah, that was a turner.
That was a turner. Yes, I was not happy.
Well, I guess you share that something with Han Solo then.
Yes, I was not happy when he did that. But the whole, we wouldn't have got the Yuuzhan Vong. We wouldn't have had, we wouldn't have had characters like Mara Jade or any, those characters or any of that.
Yeah,
If it's just Thrawn, probably the best written villain for Star Wars in an age, we wouldn't have had him, if Star Wars had stopped or, anything. And then we wouldn't have seen him turn up in animation and soon to be turned up in live action. Who would have thought this, 30 odd years ago, when Star Wars ended? None of us thought that this was going to happen. So, we've been spoiled for choice since Heir to the Empire, I would say.
I'd say we need to take a break and wait for AMG to release news of what's coming. We know definitely more or less what Disney has in the works, and I can't think of any other company currently having major stakes in the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, well, minor stake is people like Ubisoft, because Ubisoft are producing a Star Wars game.
Yeah, but video games aside, which are always a somehow subject to when it comes out when it comes, and it may be finished a year later or not.
Yeah, I mean, we do know that there is talk. Speaking of video games, that there's a talk of a possible sequel to Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know. But we know that Ubisoft are the next ones to tackle the Star Wars franchise, and this is because Electronic Arts no longer have that exclusivity that they had got.
Yeah, and let's be honest, EA fucked up big time.
Yes, they did. Loot boxes.
Not only loot boxes, they handled Star Wars like any other IP. They would usually get their grubby hands on it, and I think they really underestimated how passionate part of the Star Wars fandom actually is about their stuff. And just remembering the weird and totally whack job controversy about having a pink Darth Vader. Just
I mean we'll thingy there, but I mean, they did have some big hitters involved in creating some interesting Star Wars stuff, and then they just dropped them because we know there was a
1313.
Well, that was pre Disney 1313.
Yeah, but still, that's
that looked amazing, and we know what that was going to be. That was going to be a Boba Fett game. We know it was. That was what was said after 1313 was canned. It was going to be a bounty hunter game, and it was going to be Boba Fett. But the one I'm thinking of is Amy Hennig. For people who don't know Amy Hennig, she's very big in the gaming world. She was a writer, I think, on the Uncharted series,
the
first one. She went off to Visceral Games. Visceral Games were the gaming company behind Dead Space, and they were working on a Star Wars title for a year, and then EA just shelved it. And
which always makes me want to know, why did you do it? Didn't they see a market, or what happened?
There was something went on, because then I think Amy Hennig left Visceral, and then they passed it on to Respawn, who with all the old Infinity Ward guys who did original Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and that's where we got Fallen Order. But we don't know the reason behind it. But they've had some really interesting. They showed footage off of what they were working on at Visceral. You know, it was only like 10 seconds, and it was a character that looked like Donnie Yen's character from Rogue One stepping out stepping out into Tatooine by the looks of it, with an Imperial flag waving, you know, dangling down like a banner.
Mm-hmm.
Flag is one of our good people that we know say a lot of.
A
but,
flag.
you know, a flag. So, you know, we know that we're working on something that looked really interesting, but then it got shelved. But, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, I think, you know, we're spoiled for choice. Let's all, as Star Wars fans, let's all calm the fuck down when it comes to Star Wars, and wait and see what drops, and wait and see what Disney announces,
I think,
because it's not all been bad.
no, and
It
to be
really
honest,
hasn't.
currently I think the fandom is really calm because currently
Well,
there is no big controversy of any sort.
there was a bit of a controversy around the writing of the Acolyte, but let's not go into that one because that was just people being completely and utterly stupid.
Yeah, but we're going to see what happens when
Yeah.
Fett launches.
Oh yeah. Well, when things when we get trailers, I've taken now the things is, yes, I watch news, I see stuff on YouTube, I watch the occasional clickbait video where people say, you know, breaking the gossip around, you know, oh, this person's been cast, that person's been cast. You know, there was a lot of leaks for season 2 of The Mandalorian, which we knew came to truth, but you know that type of thing. And all I'm doing now is a lot of what you see in like the news and the gossip and stuff is just take with a big pinch of salt. If it's not been announced by the mouse or by Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau,
It's not true.
it could be true, it could not be true. You know,
Yeah,
there's a rocking horse over there. Go and find its manure. You know, I mean,
I think the best advice you could give people in this situation is just don't bother with anybody doing weird predictions. Even
Yeah.
us, we are just going off on a tangent here. We're just thinking what we might want to have, but what we'll actually have is not within our means. So unless it's officially acknowledged by the mouse or AMG or whoever has to do something with Star Wars, yeah, it's a nice fantasy. It's a dream, kid. Deal with it.
Indeed. You know, don't. Myself and Tim, we're just two Star Wars fans.
It's a hobby.
Talk
It's a
bullshit.
fandom. It's a nice alternative universe you can get yourself lost in.
Yes.
But it will not be the end of the world if, for whatever reason, somebody decides, okay, this stops now. Keep this in mind. Everything you're getting is a bonus, basically.
Indeed. So enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I think this is a very good cutting off point.
It is indeed.
We're almost at 2 hours
Almost
40
3
minutes.
hours.
I think this is.
But it has been a while there, Tim, hasn't
It has, and let's just say these were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 episodes of Bad Batch we missed.
Yeah.
So even if we just say 9 times 20, we are still beneath what would have been recorded in the classic way.
Indeed.
Excuse me.
And I think the next time we talk Star Wars, we may do one for AMG and what they announced. I think that might be a good one to do.
Yeah, we might off turn. No, what am I talking about? When this is turned off, we'll later in the week have a talk about what we will do next. I won't be promising a new episode for next week because we still need to get our heads around what to talk about. But the latest date I think we can assure people they will get a new episode is after the mini extravaganza.
Yeah.
That's from FFG from the 9th through the 11th of September, if I recall correctly.
Indeed.
Which is the Wednesday to Saturday. So the Sunday then would be a recording.
I think that sounds about right.
That would be in 4 weeks at the latest. Possibly something in between. Not promising anything, though. Seeing that I've went through multiple bottles of beer, I think this is going to be a very deep sleep night.
It's the best type of sleep, trust me.
Oh, yeah, the waking is the problem.
Yeah, I know that one.
So, once again, I thank Ralph for being here. I thank everybody who has kept up with us listening until this point. And I say good night and good fight until next week. Bye.